Okay, you're live and
Are you all in order in the room?
Hi, Chenault.
You all are in order and ready.
Yes, do you want to elevate the first? It's
who is that?
His name is Lionel Nazarian.
There he is.
Sorry, Sue, everything's ready.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is Community Board 2 Manhattan, the Landmarks Committee meeting 1 of 2 this month. And we have, I think, 4 applications at the end. If anyone is here for 432 Hudson Street or for 59 Morton Street, the Hudson Street has been laid over. The Morton Street will be handled by the Landmark staff. We will have the presentations, questions from the board, from the committee, questions from members of the board, guests, and then the public. We'll ask the public to limit its questions and comments to 2 minutes, please. We'll begin 1820 Christopher Street. This is a slightly altered version of the published application, and it only has to do with the technical landmarks. It only has to do with the technical landmarks wording of it and doesn't affect in any material way our. The application is to legalize installation of shutters, windows, and entrance transom in relation to the approved LPC permit. Susan, when you get the applicant ready, we'll start.
The applicant is here. Lionel, if you want to start sharing your screen, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Sorry.
So there's a green button at the bottom of your screen that says share.
Okay.
Click on that, and then you should see your browser as one of the options, and then pull up the slides from there. Do you have the slides open?
1 second. Apps.
You need to open your slides in your laptop, and then go to Zoom and click the green button, and then one of the options will be the slides that you just opened.
If you need some extra time, we can come back to you.
I'm pressing share, and then what? I go to documents in the middle.
No, you have to have the document open first.
The document is open.
Okay, so then one of the options should be, there it is, okay? There you go.
Okay, we've got it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
While you're there, Mark, there are some bad typos in the website. If you could correct those, please.
Okay.
For this application.
Okay. Let's see what I can do.
Okay, we're ready to hear the presentation.
Okay. Thanks for having me. I'm the owner of the property at 18 and 20 Christopher Street. I'm not sure exactly how this is supposed to go, but we have the PowerPoint here, and I'm trying to legalize 3 open violations that were assigned to the prior ownership before the renovations were made. The 3 open violations are in reference to the shutters that were installed. There was a transom above the entrance door at 20 Christopher Street that was added, and there was an issue with some of the windows and the dormer that was recreated at 18 Christopher Street. Everything was approved everything was done with a permit and approved by Landmarks. However, there were just some issues post renovation that they kind of raised, and they said that in order for it to be accepted, we would have to go through the public hearing. So that's why I'm
What
here.
it technically means is that the work was not carried out the way that the permit was written.
Yes.
So if you can show us what is wrong about the way it was done, that's what we
Okay.
consider.
No problem. So you guys see that I'm moving the screen here?
Would you just tell us which is which number so we're clear?
Okay, so right now I'm sure the screen is being shared, correct? You guys see the two buildings?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the one on the left here is 18 Christopher Street, and the one on the right here is 20. Both of the shutters were done identically for both properties. This is the transom here for 20 Christopher Street above the entrance door. And this is the issue, I guess, with the windows and the dormer here at 18 Christopher Street.
Ooh. Are those metal?
Are what metal?
The dormer windows?
No, they're made they're made out of wood casement. They were ordered from Pella Windows. So the issue for the window was that the actual is the center window here. The actual permit made it so that it had to be a double casement window, and we ended up getting a single casement window by accident. And what we did was we put in some moldings, some wood moldings on top of the window to make it look like what was approved. So physically, right now, what's there matches what was on the permit, but functionally, it's a single casement window.
Okay. Do you have a close-up of the transom? It's hard to see in these.
The transom, yeah. Second. So the transom, this was the photo from, this is the designation photo of the transom, the historic designation photo. And then this was right here was what was approved on my facade application. It was copied and pasted right here. And this is what was installed afterwards. I guess technically the permit said that I had to send shop drawings into LPC for it to get approved the installation, but we didn't do that. So we tried to match this here as much as possible.
And in the historic photograph, was it white?
Right here.
Uh-huh, okay. Any other questions from the committee?
I do. I have a question on the, primarily on the dormer window.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go to that if you don't mind?
Yes.
So they approved casement as opposed to double hung?
They approved double casement.
I don't know what a double casement is. You mean two operating like that?
Yes. Yes.
And the others also are casements?
Yes. Single casement.
Why do you say single when there's a heavy line between them?
So we ended up putting the we ended up
Snap-on?
It wasn't a snap-on. We added a molding on top to make it look like what was supposed to be on the drawing.
But in the photographs, it looks like these were all double hung 6/6 or something. There was no casements anywhere.
You're talking about here, the old pictures?
Yeah, and even in the photograph on the left, I mean, they've been modified, but they're still double hung.
I don't know. We did, what was it,
But do you
whatever.
have the drawing of what was approved?
Yes. This is what was approved here. This is 18.
And when you say it's a single casement, you mean this huge window, super wide, double wide, it opens as one?
It doesn't open as one, it opens as two. But there was something specific that we did a little bit differently. So functionally, it wasn't 100% what was on the plans, but physically, if you look at the two pictures, they look the same. And it was like a $7,000 window. I mean, it was made by hand. It's a wood window.
Okay.
It was a custom piece. It's not like we cut any corners.
Are there other questions?
Yeah, I guess I might as well ask, on the approved LPC drawings and the original dormers were kind of like a hip roof or, no, gambrel type of, there's a double pitch. And the built dormers are just a regular gable end. And so is part of the violation notations that the roof has been changed?
So I asked LPC specifically, Lacey Williams emailed me today. I asked her specifically what the issue was regarding the dormer. So part of it was the window, and she wrote to me, sorry. So she wrote, dormers should have a more pronounced gambrel shape at the roof and thinner piers between the windows. So I don't know specifically what that means, but essentially I can address the thinner shapes in between the windows. Whatever was on the plan, I mean, these are slanted roofs. So they were kind of, when my architect did all the elevations and stuff, it wasn't 100% quote unquote accurate because no one could safely get on the roof because there was a pitch. It's not like a flat roof. So if you look at what we did, these are the interior photos of the dormers just to show the structural damage that was there. But like there were many fires, a lot of shoring posts were included. All we did was just rebuild what was there on the like where it ended before. So we did our best with what was there.
When you mentioned that the violations were somehow by some previous owner, how far back are you talking about? What previous owner?
Celeste Martin. This is 2 ownerships prior to mine.
2 ownerships.
I believe it was in the 80s, 90s.
Well, we can talk about it in executive because I think it looks like it's a straight pitch, right? It doesn't have that break on either end. Especially since you have one right next to it, you could follow, literally next door.
You have it connected to these.
Okay, hi, I'm Susan. I'm the vice chair of the committee. I have another question, which is, How do the shutters differ from what was permitted?
Okay, so shutters, I wasn't communicate, so for the transom, I know that the permit said that I had to send in shop drawings, and we didn't, I admit that we didn't do that, but we tried to replicate what was on the plans as best that we could. In terms of the shutters, I was in constant communication with LPC. We sent, this is exactly what we sent to them. I have emails with the exact height and width, like the exact specs that we were going to order for each shutter. And there wasn't, there were no objections to that. Before they were installed, we invited LPC to come take a look at what we were doing. There were no comments made about the shutters. And then once the project was finished, we heard, this is the notes that we got. Shutters, I'll tell you exactly. The shutters should be sized specifically to each window to adequately cover the entire window when in closed position. I mean, this was never mentioned to us before, during, after, and these are only supposed, the shutters aren't supposed to be functional. So, it didn't really make sense for if we had done it any differently, the shutters would have overlapped. So we did everything proportionally.
They're not hinged?
I'm sorry?
There's no hinge on these shutters?
What do you mean by hinge?
Hinge, like when they're operable, they're hinged like a door.
There we had specific, I'm trying to find the picture. There were specific, I don't know if you call them hinges or not, but there was specific hardware that we had to.
Yeah, those are not hinges. Those are the ones that hold them open.
Yeah, that's what we followed the plans. That's what was on the plan. So on the plan, it showed to be like that, not operable.
One other question is, can I ask why you didn't send in the shop drawings?
For which one?
The transom? Yeah.
It was just an error. There was a lot going on.
Just an error. Okay, human error. That happens. And when the wrong Pella window, I think what you're suggesting is that when the window was received, it was not the one that you had ordered, correct?
There was a mix-up with the ordering, to be honest with you. So
Well, meaning what? A mix-up with the order. What I'd like to know is, what is a mix-up? Does it mean that the wrong one was ordered, or that what was ordered was not delivered?
No, what was ordered was, I guess, not 100%, was not the double casement that they wanted.
So what was ordered was not the window that had been approved?
Yes.
Okay.
But once that error was brought to my attention, to our attention, we put like the moldings on top to kind of see if we could fix the problem that way aesthetically.
But what you're representing is that its appearance is the same
Yes.
as the drawings. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to this, yeah. But again, it's a wood window. It was a custom window. It was like $7,000.
Yeah, we understand about that.
Yeah, it's not like we were trying to cut corners.
Could you please update Dana? She had something, I believe, to say.
Mark, can we elevate Dina Tass-Winter? Does anybody else on the committee have any questions? No. Okay. So Dina, we're getting you elevated. We're going to move to questions from the public, and our first question or comment will be from Dina Tass-Winter from Village Preservation.
Hi, thank you, Susan, Chenault, and everyone. Two quick things about the dormer. First, the thing that I had just shared something in the chat, which I hope that's okay that I did that, but I was trying to be helpful.
Sure.
Just
thank you.
share the permit with the wording so that we could all know, what it exactly was that was approved. So my understanding, just to interpret it and what you've said, Mr. Nazarian, is that there's supposed to be each inset of windows is supposed to be paired so that they can like swing outward from the middle. And is it just, is what has happened that it's one pane of glass essentially? So like on the right there, it looks like that window's slightly open. Basically, it's one large window that swings out. Is that correct?
It's one glass. If I remember correctly, it was one full piece of glass, but operationally, it opened. Two windows would open from it. So, but I'm not sure. It was a while ago. I don't know exactly what functionally what we did differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because, in my assessment of whether this would be appropriate, I would consider, how close is the operation to what LPC approved? And if it does, as it kind of looks like it does in that one, I don't know if you have a closer up view, but it looks like it's one large window with the dividing muntins, but that it's one piece that kind of swings out. And that's really not an operation that would have been historically appropriate. But if it has the double swing, maybe it could be some version of, okay. Anyway, I'll stop talking, but I'm just trying to understand what the operation actually is. Thank you, everyone.
No problem. No, it definitely opens. That's two window panels that can open simultaneously.
Okay. Are there other questions?
Yes.
Anyone else, Susan?
This is a more up close. This is a more up close picture.
Okay, I think we understand that. Thank you.
No problem.
Susan, are there other questions?
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody here who's here to speak on this? Nope, okay. Is there anybody from the public who's here to speak on this? Please raise your hand.
Nobody.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, I think we can move on now. Thank you, Lionel. Can you press your red button, Mr. Nazarian, to stop sharing now? And we'll move to our next applicant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you.
Susan, could you read the next one, please?
Sure. "252 West 11th Street. The application is to replace windows, create new windows and door openings, reframe roof to make it level, install new railing at roof, renovate the rear yard, repair small retaining wall, install a new roof bulkhead, install new rooftop mechanical units, also vents, rebuild bay windows, fill in existing through-wall air conditioning units, brownstone repairs, paint plaster door, paint repair railings and fence, and extend the existing curb under the fence and replace light fixtures, including relocating the light fixtures at the rear yard." So just a couple of things. Sounds a little daunting, right? All right, well, please join us. And here, come and sit. I'll make room for you over here. Or if you like, you can sit here and be closer to the microphone. Oh, okay. And you'll be able to see more clearly without craning your neck.
Okay. All right. Thank you for having me. My name is Ellen Martin. I am the architect for the new owner at 252 West 11th Street. It's marked on the map there, very central to the Greenwich Village Historic District at the corner of West 11th and West 4th Streets. It is one of three brownstones that were built at the same time in 1869. Currently, the owner the owner that I'm working for purchased the property over the summer. It was previously being used as 5 rental apartments, and he is proposing to convert it into a single family residence. And so in addition to the interior renovations that are obviously needed for that to happen, we're proposing some exterior work. The property was not particularly well maintained over the years, so many of the things you just read are related to bringing those things back into to restoring those items. Okay, if you could please put to the next slide, thank you. These are pictures of the existing building right now. Quite a few more trees, but otherwise, pretty much as you saw it at the designation. All right, next slide, please. All right, this is the facade from the 11th Street side. Here, the work involved includes replacing the windows, removing the shutters. I guess shutters is a popular topic today. We are also repainting the cornice, the door, the railings, and the bars on the windows. All of this work would be approved at staff level. So there's not really anything too out of the ordinary here. Next slide, please. This view, you might need to back, yeah, here you go. This is the West 4th facade, the side of the building. The one feature of this facade is 6 brick recesses, which are sort of faux windows at the front and the back of the building. This owner is very excited that he owns a corner property and would like to make these real windows. One of the things that issues we ran into trying to make that happen is that the chimneys are overlapping the brick recesses, and we also want to keep the chimneys. So the windows that we're proposing are not exact size of the existing recesses, but slightly more narrow. I believe the existing window recesses are about 42 inches wide, and we're proposing 22 inches. The 2 window air conditioner units that we're blocking in are shown there at the bottom floor. The stair bulkhead, as you read, is another thing that we're proposing, which you can see on the upper right of the proposed elevation. Right now, the yard for this building, which is technically a side yard, not a rear yard since it's a corner building, is very small. It's only about 8 feet deep. And so the owner would like to utilize the outdoor space at the roof. Right now, the only roof access that exists is a hatch. So we're proposing a stair, and I'm going to get into more detail on that in the next couple slides. You can do the next one, please. Okay, here, this is the south-facing facade, which faces into the side yard. One of the features of it is a beautiful bay window, but this window is also structurally compromised and is currently falling off the building in sort of a dangerous situation. So the replacement of that window is going to be, has already been approved at staff level. And we are replacing it faithfully to match the existing, and including adding a central window, which is something that has also been allowed for the next 2 brownstones over that match that. So that's one feature of the back, as well.
And all this comes from staff, right?
That comes from staff.
Okay.
We're replacing the windows, and up at the top of the roof, you see a guardrail, which, since we're accessing the outdoor space, that's required. And then one last thing I'd draw your attention to here is we'd like to consolidate the 3 windows that are on the bottom floor. That's the basement level. So right now there's a barred window, a door that has a big security gate on it, and a little bathroom window. And we are proposing bringing those together into a set of double bifolding doors, which would align with the bay window up above. As well, not to bypass that, we are talking about replacing the stairs there, which are currently sort of deteriorated wood stairs, and wood planter, like a tie wall that goes around the outside. We're going to replace that with concrete and add bluestone pavers and a gravel base in the rear yard. Okay, next slide. Here's a couple looks at the bulkhead section through and the elevation from the roof. We made a conscious choice to locate this as far to the east as possible and towards the back of the property. And we made it as low as possible. So it has very angled profile, trying to keep it as minimal as possible. Also to the right of the bulkhead, you'll see in the right-hand elevation is our 2 air conditioners. We have 2 condensing units, which we're putting in that corner, which is the furthest back from the street exposure. Next one, please.
What is the material for the bulkhead, please?
It is vertical metal siding. I have a materials board coming up as well. Okay, so here, obviously, adding to a roof is always a big deal. So we have our sightline diagrams. The one on the left is from West 11th Street and the one on the right is from West 4th Street. And you can see that we're falling underneath those sightline diagrams. Next one, please. As well as we need to zoom back a little bit, I think. Yeah, thank you. We built a mock-up of the new bulkhead, which is currently in place. And you could see that. And the images above, you can see it's not visible from the street anywhere I could stand in the neighborhood. One thing that is visible from the street, you see in the right photo, is the guardrail that we're proposing at the rear. So you can just catch that at the 2x4s there up above that wall. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. All right, next one. Here's some images of the bay window. Just you can all be satisfied that it's not in really good shape. That white pole down there in the backyard photos on the lower right, showing the PVC pipe that's currently holding the whole thing up. I know. All right, next slide, please. Okay, these are some context photos that LPC had asked us to include. On the top, some secondary facades from the neighborhood, just to kind of show that the language of our windows would fall within the sort of language of other secondary facades, and maybe not always having a precise matching double hung proportion. There are some different heights and widths of things that seem to fall within the language of the neighborhood. Another issue on the bottom was the notion of the areaways. Our property has a gated fence, which is similar to the third one from the left, just a black metal gate, and the owner prefers to keep that gate in place and screen the view into the backyard using plants. But if that view into the backyard was considered to be too transparent, he's open to creating a more opaque solution, but with the understanding that we would have to alter the original gate. But that he prefers to keep it open, the fence, and keep the existing fence as it is. Okay, and I think just one last.
Does this mean you're not changing the gate? Or
we are not changing it. We would like to just scrape and paint the gate that's there.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next slide. These were the materials proposed up on the upper left. We have the paint sample, which would be for the front door, the cornice, the fence and gates, the window mullions, and the bay window. It's just the same color, black everywhere. The next chip down is the paint color. The basement level of the rear yard is painted right now, so we would paint that a light gray color, repaint it. Right now it's kind of a dingy white, so that's not going to change too much from what it is. And then the next material down is the vertical metal siding. The next material is a bluestone for the paving. On the upper right is the cable railing, which we're proposing just something very simple and as unobtrusive as possible. And then some of the lighting selections for the front door, the backyard, and the bulkhead. It's the more modern one. The air conditioner units and the existing chimneys would be getting these low profile chimney caps because we're going to be restoring the use of 6 of the fireplaces.
So the metal on the bulkhead looks awfully black to me.
Yes.
You're intentional?
That is the owner's intention, yes. If that is something that people want to discuss, he's open to that, but that was his preferred design direction. This is really, we have also, and the next slides are really just the plans, and I don't know that that's such a interest of yours. I think probably most of the main issues, and if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Where are the air conditioner units placed?
Actually, so if you go back to the route, Yeah.
Are they visible?
No, they are not visible.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
there's just two
sufficient.
units. They're just to the south of the stair.
That's sufficient that they're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
They're part of that, together with the stair bulkhead of the not visible things.
right.
Okay.
They're small. They're smaller than the bulkhead.
Chenault, do you have any other questions?
I don't know.
Anita?
I guess my one question would be on the side elevation. In looking at the photograph, it has a sort of a recessed, what do you call that? Non-existent window,
I think window.
a shadow window.
That's right.
But it has a huge lintel and sill. So you cutting those?
We would remake the lintel and sill for both of those.
And so you would infill the brick so it'd be
Yeah, so
flush?
it looks brand new, like,
Is this a painted facade?
it is partially painted and partially red brick, yeah. The lower part is the painted part.
And what are you planning to do? Paint or?
We would reuse the bricks that are existing to match in and piece them in.
Keep them in. All right. No, I don't, I'm fine with this. I don't have any questions.
So in redoing the front door, the paint, is all that going to be black trim?
That's right.
And the doors themselves are going to be the natural wood again?
No, they'll be black as well.
Both the inside and the outside?
Yeah, so it
doors?
would be the entire door surround painted black, and then the second doors in would also be black.
Well, so what about, okay, that's the doors and the trim. And then what about the rest of the wall surfaces and the ceiling?
Inside the vestibule?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so right now it's kind of an unusual situation. The real front door is sitting in an open position in that photo.
yes.
So we intend to bring it back so that it actually works again. Right now, the hardware is not working. So then it would be entirely closed off, but we are gonna be painting the inside of that vestibule.
And,
But nobody will really be able to see that anymore.
okay, so normally the outside doors are going
That's
to be
right,
closed.
yeah.
Are you going to put any lights into the doors so you can see
No,
somebody else?
that's not part of the plan. So those are, we think, the real existing original doors. So we're gonna just not
It doesn't say replace it.
fix them. No, yeah, we're not planning to replace them.
Yeah, but painting in black, that's a huge change. I mean, it's a radical
Yeah.
difference to me.
It's a big black hole.
It's hard to imagine.
Are the windows painted black?
The window frames would be black. That's interesting. I wasn't thinking you guys would. I mean, the next door neighbor has, I believe, a blue door. I don't know if you can see that in the next slide.
Next slide.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, I see
I've
it.
got a,
yeah,
Picture two.
yeah, that's right. What page are you on?
well, yeah, it's
Two.
more about, that's,
Page two
yeah.
of two.
Yeah, it was a little,
A dark
it's
blue.
from the, up at the top, I think. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, and she had done hers, and the next one over, I think, is black. She had done hers about 5 years ago. She went with the blue color.
Yeah, of course, they've got a kind of a dove gray window trim.
Mhm.
So that's a lot less oppressive looking.
You're not changing the position of the door.
No, no.
I know black's pretty common, Brian.
I know, but boy,
Depends on the black.
Yeah, there's a lot of different blacks out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the owner expressed to me as his preference. If that
Mhm.
seemed to be like, something that was a sticking point, that's certainly something we could discuss, but it would be a
Something we can
closed.
sort out in the resolution.
all right.
Okay,
I think we've laid out what the door question.
Are there any other questions? Brian, do you have another
Well,
question?
I
Sorry.
just want to clarify on the side windows again. I understand you've got some compelling reasons to make the windows so much different than the blank window openings. Is that absolutely the biggest window that you could fit?
Yeah, I mean, you can see on the elevation there, the way the chimney lines up, that happens on the interior as well. So it's the rear side has more space, but we figured that it would look better to have it be symmetrical rather than, like, we could have made a full window on the right side, but we figured it would look better if it was symmetrical versus like a thin window and then a large window.
Well, okay.
I also floated the idea of doing like keeping the recesses the way they are and just opening a window into half of the recess.
Mhm.
I don't know if that would be something that people appreciated more. The owner thought this looked better, so.
That sort of looks like a bathroom snuck into a.
Yeah, into the front of the back of the building.
Or
Is
kitchen.
there any evidence that this was that they were originally windows, or that they were always blind windows?
It seems that they were always blocked off, but it's because we don't have a photo from 1869, we don't know for sure.
And
But
the position of the flues.
the fireplaces stuff certainly would be a strong
This
indication.
is existing position, right, for the fire.
Yeah, I think they just put them in to, spice up the elevation.
Then we'll consider that then in view of their newly introduced.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, am I correct in understanding that because the chimney obstruction or condition that is driving the narrowing of the windows is really only relevant on one side?
That's
It
accurate.
is conceivable that it could be a larger window on one side and a smaller window on the other. It's just purely in the interest of symmetry.
Correct.
So that's what's driving that. And you had mentioned something about another possible solution where the blind window openings retain their current.
Yeah, so if we kept on the left, you see where the blind windows are, and we just put the window in the window there, and kept the look of the recess and the lintel
And the lintel
and the
and the
sill,
sill, yeah.
that would be technically possible, but just a question of if that would be, that's something I've never seen in a.
You could make a fake window that made.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, I mean, that's
true.
kind of a creative,
Mhm.
I mean, it is an unorthodox solution, but that doesn't make it a bad solution.
No, I mean,
It makes it a creative
yeah,
solution.
I would certainly-
potentially.
I looked at that actually. I thought
Yeah.
that's interesting. I mean, and these windows are basically half of the windows that are on the front and the rear. So they're, if you put a fake window next to it, it would look exactly like the front.
Could we move on from this, please? I think.
I just
Sorry, I
have
don't
one other-
think everybody's-
one other
Brian's
question
got one other
before we move on,
question
Chanel.
before we move on.
You mentioned fill in existing through wall AC units, and I can't
That's at the
find
bottom.
any.
It's at the bottom of right there, exactly where he's waving the hand. So they're in the basement level.
On the
I think if you
side
saw 'em on
elevation.
you can see them from the West 4th Street side.
And that's going to be filled in with
Brick
just
done.
brick.
Yeah, because we're putting in central air conditioning now. We don't need those anymore.
Okay, is there anybody else, anybody here? Anybody from the public who wishes to speak? Please raise your hand if you do. Okay, don't see any raised hands, so I think we can move on. Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for being so clear in your presentation and for your drawings being so clear. We really appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Susan, if you'll work on the next, I'll read the extensive application.
Okay, yes, Mark is
Application
here.
to restore the front facade basement through level 3, remove and replace front facade at level 4 with a new dormer and mastard roof, restore the cornice of the front facade, replace the metal stoop, replace windows, replace doors at basement, replace door and transom at level 1, add a gas lantern on a post, remove and add windows on the south facade, remove and add windows on the rear facade, and
Okay.
add stair bulkhead
He's the presenter.
equipment at the roof level, install terrace pavers on the pedestal system.
Okay, we have the presenter in the room with us. All right,
Sorry, I didn't expect
that's
that.
all right.
I don't see me as an attendant, but
I don't see you either, but what's?
You can't be if you're,
I think.
oh, you have to,
You're under my name.
have to
Oh.
attend or something.
I'm sorry.
Luke Stringer, that's it.
Oh, is that okay?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready when you can.
Commerce Street, that's a cool street.
Okay, so you've accepted. So now activate your camera
Okay.
and share your screen with the camera.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now we know your alias.
Yes. Okay, may I jump right in?
You're good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Kyle O'Donnell. I'm representing the design team as part of the proposed alterations, exterior alterations to 48 Commerce Street. Excited to be here. Just to jump right into the project, the site location is at the southwest corner of the Greenwich Village Historic District. I'm going to zoom in here, if that's okay.
Please.
Because this is a unique area, unique street in that you'll see the red dot there where 48 Commerce Street is located. It's at the bend of Commerce Street. It makes a sharp turn right there. So that'll be relevant in the slides. And then on the right side, we're showing the aerial view. You're seeing the view looking west towards 48 Commerce Street and then bending north. History and context. Is it okay if I read these to you, or is it a?
I think it's not necessary, or
necessary,
you can
okay.
just read a bit if you like. But I mean, we're all are familiar
Okay,
with the district. So.
Built in 1844.
Right,
It's been renovated several times. Some of the historic photos, this 1907 tour book that shows us the earliest idea of what the house originally was. In this photo, you can see the original stoop was on here. 46 and 48, so 46 is to the left, and 48 were built at the same time. This description is alluding that they were the same house, but they weren't. So in these images, you'll see the original stoop was in here. There was a fence, shutters, the original cornice, and no fourth floor. And then moving into the 1928 image, stepping back from Bedford Street, you can see that the stoop has been removed to 48 Commerce. You can see there's a sloped roof. Whether or not that was original or not is unknown. And then you can see 46 Commerce Street has been altered to have that pedimented dormer on top. 1940s tax photos, you can see that there was this fourth floor addition that was added with these casement windows. You can see clearly the delineation of where the cornice was removed and the addition was added. Yes.
Is this a catty corner,
Yes.
these two properties?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
It's a special one.
Good.
Two more 1940s tax photos shows the same house farther from the Bedford corner. And then in 1978, this is the first photo we have of a stoop, a metal stoop being added to the front facade. You'll see that the front door was added as well on the first floor, metal grates. You have to take this a little bit with a grain of salt because there's wall-to-wall carpeting for the front yard.
Like you do.
But it at least gives us evidence that this was added back, and so was a lamppost. Existing streetscape is a little confusing because it turns this sharp corner. But looking from the left side in the upper view, that's Barrow Street going to Bedford Street. So it turns the corner right where this red line is. And then on the south side of the street, which is where the property is located, from the left side, that's Bedford going to Barrow Street. So right in between where I have 46 and 48 labeled, that's where the street turns. But the facade does recess on either side of those two. These are the existing conditions of the front facade. This was taken in February of this year. Some more existing conditions of the stoop. We'll get to that in later slides. The front facade. So this is a brief overview of what our proposal, this is our proposal, and I'll get into the specifics on later slides. But essentially what we'd like to do is remove the existing bulkhead, remove the existing chimney, remove the existing 8 feet of the front facade and rebuild that. Remove and replace the windows in kind, remove and replace the doors, remove the security grills on the first floor, remove and replace the security grills on the basement floor, remove and replace the metal stoop, and then add a lamppost, some lighting, add shutters, restore the existing cornice, add a pedimented dormer window, and a sloped roof, a roof deck, as well as a handrail. Beyond that is the bulkhead. We've been working with our preservationists to get approval for the shutters, the windows, and doors at staff level, and the lamppost as well. So existing context. I have some prepared notes on this, if that's okay. We believe that the current 4th floor addition and other modifications disregard the established vocabulary of historic fenestration within the neighborhood. This presents an opportunity to remove and rebuild the front portion of the 4th floor with a design that more thoughtfully corresponds to the architectural character of the village. Because this is a community meeting, we'd like to walk through a process and share the considerations that guided the proposed design. We started with the property's physical constraints. We intend to maintain the existing roof height, which means the overall height is dictated by the current parapet. We also do not wish to exceed that parapet height at the front elevation. This leaves us with a large floor to roof height that we have to bridge with a considered architectural moment. We examine the massing. The best precedent for massing is the adjoining neighbor at 46 Commerce Street. We feel creating a pedimented dormer was most appropriate. However, with 46 Commerce Street's shallow roof pitch, from the street, the dormer appears as a box-like volume resting atop the facade rather than engaging with the architecture of the building. With our proposal, we want to avoid this visual disconnection. Next, we consider the architectural styles of the surrounding buildings. The mansard roof at 41 Commerce Street, which is this building on to the left, and that's directly across the street, is our precedent for a steeply pitched roof. But stylistically, with smaller dormers and slate tiles, it aligns with Second Empire and Victorian design. We feel that if we stayed true to a Greek revival base with a Second Empire top, the styles would be too disconnected from each other. So that's showing 41 Commerce Street. This is showing 1 and 2 Greenwich Avenue, which is elsewhere in the Greenwich Village Historic District, but this does show a steep sloped roof with a parapet side. And then this is also just showing, this image to the right is showing other dormered and other modified additions around the corner on Bedford Street. Our proposed design synthesizes a collection of architectural elements drawn from the immediate context of Commerce Street and the Greenwich Village Historic District. The dormer's shape and proportion communicates with 46 Commerce Street, while the roof pitch aligns more closely with that of 41 Commerce Street. The standing seam zinc-coated copper roof nods the materiality of existing zinc-coated copper downspouts. So in this image, we're showing what we've showed on the first slide of our materiality. You can see the conversation between 46 and 48 of the pedimented dormer. And we have our bulkhead is also revealed and mechanical equipment in the rear in the same location that it currently is. We'll get to the south facade too, but you can see that we are proposing to add windows within that masonry facade. Some front details of showing just the side sections of that 4th floor. We are proposing to wrap a decorative pilaster around the corner and then have clapboard siding painted to follow the pitch of that roof. And we're also showing this proposed new roof deck to be below the top of the parapet so that we do not have a large handrail on top. Some roof mock-ups. This is looking from the rear to the front. We're showing our bulkhead, our new flues. Looking in this bottom image, there's one datum line that's showing the raised parapet in the rear and then the handrail above that, and I'll get to that on the new slides. We did a few sightline studies, understanding that this is at the end of Commerce Street, so this is visible from multiple locations. Jumping into that, standing directly across the street, we cannot see anything from the street, but standing farther down towards Bedford Street, theoretically, you can see some of the mechanical equipment that starts getting revealed. Specifically, the bulkhead can be revealed theoretically, but there are tree coverage that I'm going to show you in the next slides. The same thing coming from Hudson Street over here. There's this alleyway there is some visibility of the rear facade. These are images that were taken on the 31st. This is looking from 7th Avenue, so that's 2 blocks away. This is looking from Bedford Street, so the block away.
Can you zoom in on that so
Sure.
we can really see what we're looking at?
So, so this is the building right here. You can see this.
Sorry, could I say something about this? I visited today and it's lost a number of leaves, and clearly we can't see it, and it's visible, particularly the bulkhead, and not atypical of visible bulkheads in the village is my assessment.
If I may, I have some images that I took this morning as well. So this is, here, I'll pull this up larger. So this is from, oh, can I not pull it up on the screen? I have to share my, sorry, I'm going to share my images. I'll share my desktop. So looking at the street view, and I'll zoom in. So this is of this morning. You can see, you can start seeing the red of the bulkhead mock-up up here. And then I'll show you another image. Let's see right here. This is an even more zoomed in version. You can start seeing the red poking out. However, I will say that you can also see the existing bulkhead that is to be demolished.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, there is some visibility, yes.
Thank you for sharing this.
Of course.
It's really.
I knew that was going to pop up today. Share this.
May I ask, should I comment when I'm on the topic or wait till he's done?
Are you a member of the public who's here to speak that?
I am.
Yeah, you'll have an opportunity. The committee, the presenter will finish his
Thank you. That's what I wanted
presentation first.
clarification on. Thank
Then
you
the
so much.
committee will have an opportunity to speak with the applicant, and then we'll open it up to the public.
Thank you.
So you'll have
Thank you for
a chance. Okay,
clarification.
sure.
Appreciate it. I wasn't sure.
This is another view to the right, looking from the sidewalk. That's with our bulkhead. And then turning the corner, we're walking farther down Commerce towards Barrow Street. And you can see that the facade of Commerce, or 48 Commerce, gets blocked by 50 Commerce Street. This is looking from, I have it mistakenly on here as Bedford Street, but it's Hudson Street. So this is the alleyway poking through. I also took this on Halloween, so you see that's why there's a skeleton there. But you can see the second and third floor window of the building, just all the way in the back here. But no evidence of the red of the bulkhead. Moving on to the south facade, this is the side facade of the building. This is showing the existing conditions. We have a few different window penetrations existing, and that turns the corner to 46 Commerce Street over here. This is our proposed demolition and proposed new construction to the right. So this facade cannot be seen from any street level. It's really only experienced from the side yard and the apartments behind. We are proposing to penetrate this masonry with additional window openings. Ideally, the window openings would be more aligned with each other, but we felt that because this cannot be seen from the experience from the public, we thought this was okay. We are also showing our bulkhead, our new bulkhead up here, and we're revealing 50 Commerce Street in the rear with their lot line windows that are between the bulkhead. I should also note that I'm showing the slope of our parapet. The existing parapet slopes with the roof. With this new roof deck, we are proposing to maintain the height of the existing parapet in the front, but have that a consistent level parapet all the way in the back. So technically it is a raised parapet in the back. This is our colorized version. So we are proposing to remove all of the existing white paint that's on the facade and repoint brick as required.
So that means that you've got doors coming out to the yard.
Correct.
That's not a lot line, those aren't lot line windows then?
No.
How much of a yard is there?
It's a terrace. It's very small.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's very unusual.
It is unusual.
Really?
Yeah. Rear facade. You can see these staggered windows to the left. That's where the current staircase switchbacks or has its switchback. And then this proposed facade, I think you'll like much more. We are proposing to have more in alignment of the existing windows with our new windows. And then this fourth floor, we were proposing to match the existing conditions below in the proportions. We have wood frame doors, wood framed windows. And I should also mention, we are proposing to drop the terrace back by 12 inches. Right now we have ceiling heights of 7'1" on that basement level. So to gain a little bit more space, it is going to require us to drop down slightly. Some existing conditions of the stoop. From far away, it looks really nice. Up close, it's kind of made of sheet metal parts. The stoop is very unusual to the house, and we like it. There's very few precedents in the neighborhood of metal stoops, but we found these two, and 30 Grove Street was approved to be replaced in 2017. So we do want to replace the stoop in kind, but improve the details. So we have a nice nosing on our stair treads. We have nice posts and ball finials. And we're also making this more compliant where the handrail is at a compliant height. Some side views. This is a section showing doors for garbage storage underneath the stoop. Trash bin storage. Backing up from the street level, we are proposing to put a fence and a fence gate. There's currently a masonry retaining wall with brownstone coping. We're planning on keeping that and then adding our fence on top. This is a precedent image at 105 West 11th Street. Very similar details as what we're proposing with the posts, the ball finials, and the decorative balustrade. And then the stoop materials. The layout is exactly as it is existing today. We wanted to replace the current brick with staggered bluestone, and then all the metal elements, railing and stoop, painted black. That's my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess this is personal preference. It seems like an opportunity to undo what is a very artificial looking thing for the house of the curved stairs. There's space, so it's not the question of intruding on a sidewalk where the street has been altered or widened. And it would bring the house back to the way that the top floor has been treated so beautifully. A historic look instead of a clearly modified, almost Hollywood kind of look.
It's like 21, isn't that the club uptown? Where you can hang your horse. It does look a lot like
So
that.
often this is done because the sidewalks is so narrow, and here it's not a necessity thing. I'm also looking at the can you show the picture that showed the proposed dormer with the one next door?
Yes.
Well, this shows this one. It looks a little narrow to me. It's bigger than what typically a pair would be, obviously, but it doesn't sort of fill the space in the way that some of the examples that you've shown and that are evident in the village do, of almost a punching out of the roof rather than sticking a dormer in. Just to consider that it might be wider.
May I respond? Is that okay?
Yes.
And those are all yes, the design of the windows on the south facade. We just, all we could see is they're double hung, I think.
Mostly double hung, correct.
So they're of historic, not seen, not fancy for the front, but of historic design.
Correct. We have two casements as well. If I may, regarding the stoop, we agree that we considered restoring back the straight run stoop. If you've been down the street before, it is a bit of an iconic intervention, I would say. So it is kind of a beautiful stair.
Yeah.
It's very recognizable in this neighborhood, and people recognize the house because of that stoop. So if we could keep that, we would prefer to keep it as is, but make it
Improve it.
And while you're on this slide, I'm sorry, I found my other question. The bulkhead appears to be very wide. Is that because of a switchback stair?
Because of the switchback stair.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, if you want to respond to him, and then I'll.
I just wanted to comment on the dormer size.
Great.
It's the massing. So we felt that it does communicate with its sister at 46 Commerce Street, which is a bit of the massing is very proportionate with each other. We felt that if we made the dormer longer or had a different pitch, we felt that it would be too disconnected to each other.
Wider was the question, wider.
And that's what you're saying too.
Yeah,
Longer
I'm
being
saying
wider.
that if it was wider, we feel like that would be too disconnected from 46 Commerce Street.
I think it's the spaces on either side that's odd because it's
Oh, I
so
see.
big.
Well, it's centered on the center window. So if you see,
You know, centering is good.
Century's good. All right,
okay.
fine.
And the window sizes, just so you know, so these three sizes, those are consistent with, they're the same size as the existing three windows. So we're trying to pull from some existing conditions.
Well,
I suggest this is a case that's so altered that the existing condition is not material to anything. It certainly is an enormous improvement over what was just plopped on the roof.
yeah, we're really picking at details here, but that's the fun of it.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
And in terms of the size of the window, and you could keep the same window size and just have a stronger mullion between or something like that, and at the shoulder sides of each window. So what, if you could go back to that rendering again, because it shows up the what strikes my eye as being out of place are the two shoulders of brick. It seems to me that the metal roofing should go and be toothed into the sidewall and wrap that edge so that you're just seeing a metal roof and not some kind of,
Firewall.
yeah. And that would be my preference. And then the other is that clapboard on the side of the dormer. It seems like that should be metal too. It just seems like that would tie it all together rather than trying to make materials too mixed up. So that doesn't feel right to me. But again, we're just talking about details and just ideas that you might think about.
Further to Brian's point, I mean, this is wonderful. This is a vast improvement. There's no question, obviously. So,
Thank you.
Understand that, please.
Thank you.
But, you've done, if this is so thoughtful and you've done so much to consider the context, the building next door, the mansard roof, spooky house across the street and all of, and I really appreciate the thoughtfulness with which you've tried to synthesize, all of this. There's something slightly scenery looking with how it exists now, which in a way doesn't seem to honor the great thoughtfulness that you in a way, to me, this is just me, but it feels like it diminishes the sincere amount of true thought that you've put into all of this. And I think, an unintended consequence is that it reads a little bit more like scenery than something that's organic to the building. And I'm just, some of the points that Brian made, I think would mitigate that. And so that, for instance, bringing the metal around to the side so that it feels like an entire thing, not just a one surface treatment. Would also help, I think, with the dormer situation, making it seem more organic in a way. So I'm not certainly at all suggesting any kind of how to redesign it, but I do think that there's an accidental quality of scenery, which, you're not really doing anywhere else. You're really making a real building with a lot of thought, and I just want to express that.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And while you're
Brian.
speaking of that dormer and that roof, it just occurred to me that the light blue effect in the rendering, just don't see that anyplace else. The shutters are darker, the main doors are darker.
You're talking about the metal?
On the slope surface, I don't know if that's supposed to reflect the sky, or is it a darker color?
I'll go back to the materials. It's a zinc coated copper on the material, so that it will darken over time, but it is a living metal finish.
Yeah, well.
I'm sorry, would you repeat what the material is?
Zinc coated copper.
Zinc coated copper.
So it's a gray application on top of copper. There's an existing downspout over here that's zinc coated copper.
Isn't that is there a term for that term?
Yeah. I mean, it's used commonly. It's good material, although you don't get the beauty of the copper. So that's a big compromise, but that's chosen. That's fine. Yeah.
Regarding the parapets on the extended parapets above the roof line, this is a unique situation in that 50 Commerce Street and 48 Commerce Street do not share a party wall. So they actually own the entirety of this party wall. So we don't want to tooth into the neighbors for.
You don't want what?
We don't want to tooth the roofing material into the neighbor if we can avoid it.
Well, I'd like to say something about the parapet showing. That is a very modern, like the townhouses and this, and that's my property. It's absolutely not historic, clearly, in my eye. And I do think that Chenault has a good eye in that as lovely as everything is and all that, but we're here to make it better. I think if it were wider, it would have a lower sloped pitch. That pitch seems very housey to me too. It doesn't have that, you know, a lot of New York City, everything we're squeezing in, so it gets flatter and not quite so generous in pitch. So that would be.
This was our precedent, the center image of the extension of the parapet on that side. It does exist elsewhere in New York City, but we were looking for.
What pitch? Where's the pitch?
Yeah, can you zoom in and so we can see the material on the capping on that wall?
So there's a masonry wall with a brownstone coping. And so this is an example of where this roof is toothed into the neighbors here, but because their party wall extends beyond their neighbors, they've extended the party wall as well as the roof.
Yeah, but we always have to do that. That's life. I mean, you have to waterproof your building and you have to do it with your neighbors. It's one way to meet people.
And the center house of the center pictures, exactly.
Also, you can see how much flatter the pitch is, even though this has two, but it would never reach that sort of housey triangle.
I am curious to hear your thoughts regarding 46 Commerce Street. So in the direct neighbor, the boxiness, I guess.
More windows. You need another one.
It is and it isn't. It's also very off center on here. What's the conversation between these two?
Oh, those weird things, weird windows too, weird sizes.
And
it's the village.
I know.
Hey, come on.
I think there was enough similarity that we certainly don't want to match because that's not good proportions. I would say that's a kind of yucky proportion, and it's unfortunate how it was built. And it was obviously added on, as you pointed out. It wasn't original to the building. And so a similar dormer would be close enough to be a good neighbor without trying to match it. And so I think, like say, maybe it's just 8 inches or on each side or something like that, and then tone it down as far as the.
Yeah, you want the side pieces to look like side pieces, so they're less important. Also, I think, and I can't tell here, maybe somebody else knows better, but the dormer you're proposing is right on top of the bearing wall. And typically, I believe they're set back. I don't know, something seems like it's very upfront, like it almost should be.
Let me show you the section.
Set back a little bit. What do you think, Brian? Is that something
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's almost flush with the.
It's too far forward. It needs to, the facade should stop at the corners and then you have something else behind it rather than the facade sort of continuing up.
By the way, you're showing a kind of a crook wall or infill wall behind that dormer. How's the window sill, or what is that? And
this is a section not through the window, but in front of the window. So our interior wall is over here, but when we're doing a section through the window itself, it would be full height.
Full height?
The window is placed at the front of
the window
facade.
Is right here, correct?
Yeah. So that's trying to imagine what. Yeah, I really feel that should be set back. I agree with Neil. At least the thickness of the wall it's resting on, that much.
That would help mitigate the sort of unintentional scenery kind of quality as well.
Well, you want to accentuate, this is an addition to, let's pretend it's an old building and it would have been an addition and it would not have been set forward. The cornice and the brick would have read as the building, and then that's a roof structure.
Yeah, this rendering, I mean, it really looks like there's a top of the wall and it sets back, that dark line above the cornice.
Right.
And it's interrupted by the dormer, but even the dormer seems like it's set back a little bit further than your section shows. So we want that emphasized more like in the rendering and just put it back a little bit more. Doesn't mean that it could be a little steeper so that the top railing and so forth be in the same place.
Okay, does anybody else have any?
I just have a little picky thing.
Yeah, sure.
The gate
Oh, sure.
is, I think you have to, you're showing 2 doors,
Correct.
but in your drawing, you're not. You're just showing one human, you would need a frame. You're just making it, that looks very impractical. I mean, usually these guys would make a gate and it would frame entirely. This one's got these little pokey handrails sticking out. Zoom in closely on that.
Sure.
And also you would need to have a, whatever they
A
call it.
stay, yeah.
And so that would change, again, these are the details that are very important, and that it should close, obviously. I know you're swinging out, although it looks like you have so much room to swing in, that would be better for the street and for people and for the owners, I would think.
Sure.
And any gates we recommend self-closing.
Understand.
Right. And I know you made the decision not to go historically, oldie-timey, as one of my friends says, which is fine, but, it's kind of not historic. It's just something else, that's all. No.
I want to be sure, because I'll put it in the record, that this is presently more than a one-family house.
It's an 8-family house presently.
And it's being put, I assume, to one family now.
Correct.
Good.
Okay, anybody else?
Has everyone spoken who wishes to speak, Susan?
I think so. I think we should move to the public now, or maybe Brian, okay,
No.
we're gonna move to the public, and we have somebody here in the room, and then we'll go to Zoom.
Okay.
So,
And please, everyone from the public, 2 minutes maximum.
yeah, and please say your name. Come and join us, and please tell us your name and what you'd like
It
to
has
say.
to be by the speaker. Oh, we can move.
We can move it.
No, we'll move, it's okay.
Here you go.
Here.
Training. You gotta have the speaker right near you.
Hello, my name is Judy Kingman. I own 50 Commerce Street. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I did meet with the 2 owners and Kyle the other day. And I wanted to just talk about the bulkhead, because by turning it and widening it and raising it, it's very visible from the street. So I have some pictures here that are kind of what Kyle showed you, but maybe a little bit bigger to show you how visible the bulkhead is when it's turned. So it's side to side and it's raised. So I'm just wondering if by raising the roof deck and turning it, making a switchback, if there's any accommodation, as I said the other day, that could be made to make it lower, and narrower, because right now it's just a single and you just see the short side. Now you're going to see the double side, and it's raised. So it's super visible, from all the way to Commerce Street, because most of the year there's no leaves on our beautiful trees. So you do really see the bulkhead. So I'm just looking for an accommodation to make it smaller, because those are my lot line windows right by our bedrooms. And, granted, they're lot line windows, so that's not the concern, but the visibility of the bulkhead and the width and the breadth and the height of it, maybe it could be accommodated a little bit to preserve the sight lines, which I know is something that Landmarks cares about. And then secondly, I had asked if you could move the mechanicals over to the other side, if that was any accommodation you could make, but that's again, not a landmarks thing. Those are my only two requests.
Just to comment on this, so I pulled up some pictures of,
So are these your windows here?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And there's another window around the side that the mechanicals are in front of. It's kind of at an angle. So the mechanicals are right there where we sleep. Yeah, and they're higher now because the parapet is raised and the roof is raised. Right now, they're below the bottom light line window. With the higher and bigger position, they're covered the bottom sash of the window. You only have the top sash.
All right, anything else?
No, thank you for listening to me. I'm
Sure.
sorry to interrupt before. I didn't know whether I
No,
should.
thank you for
on
your
topic.
testimony. We like that.
Sure, good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And now we'll go to our participants on Zoom. I think Pete Davies, I saw, had a raised hand. Okay, Pete, you can unmute now.
Great,
Hey.
thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. I'm not sure if the page number is the same, but for the rear facade, I believe it's page 28 on the posted. Yeah. I may be incorrect, but I think you mentioned that you're lowering the floor of the ground level. And if that's correct, could you speak to that a little bit?
correct. We are proposing to lower the terrace by 12 inches from its current grade.
And that would be interior and exterior?
The interior and exterior, correct.
Thank you.
That's it? That's it, man. A few words today.
But there's no excavation, where there is excavation.
We are excavating 12
Yeah,
inches.
that's good.
correct.
So it's a 12-inch excavation. Chanel, did you catch that?
I did, and I would ask if there's any underpinning.
No, we've done our boring tests and there will be no underpinning.
I have one more
So it
question.
doesn't extend to the property line then.
Correct, it does not.
Yeah, Anita.
Yeah, on the front facade, you have new metal on the basement windows, security gates, security.
On that front facade, we have new metal. Let me pull up that. Sorry, I'm going to the rear.
On page 31.
Oh, different. We are proposing to do metal grills that follow the muntins of the existing windows.
Okay. So they're new.
Correct.
That's it.
And that's rather than historic kind of ironwork.
Yeah, it's not historic for sure. We're done, right?
Hey,
May I ask, what is the depth of the excavation?
12 inches. 1 foot.
Okay, is there anybody else from the public who would like to speak? Do you see any raised hands? No, okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
being here, and yeah, thanks for such a clear presentation.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next application is 8385 Sullivan Street.
Boy, more and more combinations. 2-row houses.
The application is to combine the two houses, install new
Want me to sign in?
wood windows,
No.
Please do.
shutters, reconstruct the deteriorated side and rear walls at 85 Sullivan, excavate at the rear yard and install new additions at the roof, rear, and side alley.
Oh, these poor
A
little
little
buildings.
unclear, but there's a very considerable addition on the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Susan, I believe there are two people to present this.
3, actually, and they've been promoted.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sarah Scher. I'm from Higgins Quays Barth and Partners, and we are the historic preservation consultants for the 8385 Sullivan Street project. Jonathan Taves from Taves Architecture will be co-presenting the proposal this evening.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, there's one thing I'm supposed to say here.
Sure.
These buildings are together and separately individual landmarks. And
Exactly.
when we come to the end, I'll say more about how we consider them. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go to the photo. Great. So 83 and 85 Sullivan, located just south of Spring Street. As Chenault mentioned, these are individual landmarks that were designated in 1973 and were included within the boundaries of the Sullivan-Thompson Historic District, which was designated in 2016. The houses were originally 2.5-story federal row houses that were built together in 1825 after a fire burned down the original structures. In 1874, 85 Sullivan on the left was raised up 1 story. In 1880, 83 Sullivan, which is on the right, was raised up 1 story. You can see in the image that the bricks are interconnected at the bottom 2 floors of the house, and then there's a seam that sort of separates them at the top because they were enlarged at different times. 83 Sullivan on the right has a horse walk on the right side that originally served as a passageway to a rear building, and 85 Sullivan also has a passageway that's an alley on the left side that served also as a passageway to another rear building that was at the back of the property. Next slide. Chenault outlined all of the proposed scope. This is the view looking sort of southeast that shows most of it all together. The proposed work is the combination of the houses into a single family residence, front facade scope, which I'll go into in detail, rebuilding of the side and rear walls of 85 Sullivan, which engineers have determined are structurally unsound, additions at the rear yard, side alley, and roof, a central brick chimney, which you can see in this image, and then excavation in the rear yard. And the appropriateness for the scope is rooted in the complex history of the site, which I will go through. Also, its context within the Sullivan-Thompson Historic District, and just also how altered federal row houses evolve over time for utilitarian purposes. So let's go to the next slide. This is more for the commissioners than you who are more familiar with the district, but Sullivan-Thompson Historic District is just west of the Soho Cast Iron Historic District and surrounded by other historic districts. Next slide. This slide is a historic photo from 1932 that shows 8385 Sullivan in context with its streetscape. This is Sullivan Street looking northeast and gives you a sense of the character of the historic district, which is a combination of early 19th century row houses and 19th century and early 20th century tenement apartment buildings, creating sort of an up and down pattern on the streetscape. Next slide. And then the next 2 slides show the development of the historic district to what it is today. This is an 1853 map showing the boundaries of the historic district when it was primarily row house development. At this time, there was this density of rear buildings of varying footprints and heights in the middle of the blocks, creating almost this separate neighborhood that was set back from the street. And our site is highlighted in red and yellow. Next slide. By 1905, much of the row house and mid-block development is replaced with full lot apartment or tenement buildings seen in pink. Next slide.
And then the next few slides show how these district-wide changes affects our specific corner and the 8385 Sullivan Street site, which is highlighted in yellow. So this is the 1853 condition showing the two federal row houses, which had gabled roof at the times at the sidewalk. There's an early two-story addition at the rear of 83 Sullivan, and then two-story rear buildings at the back of the lot. As I mentioned at the beginning, these were originally separate lots that were accessed through the 83 Sullivan Horsewalk and the 85 Sullivan alleyway. Next slide. So you sort of watch the animations happen. In 1874, 85 Sullivan is raised up 1 story. Next slide. In 1880, 83 Sullivan is raised up 1 story. Next slide. By 1903, the two rear buildings are now 3 stories plus a basement. The rear addition at 83 Sullivan is replaced with a new 2-story addition, and utilitarian 1-story additions are added to both backyards. Next slide. By 1922, an additional 1-story structure is added to the rear yard of 83. I also note, though not part of our site, that the federal house at 87 Sullivan at the time, which is to the north or to the right, also has a complex collection of additions and rear buildings, as well as a 1-story addition in the side alley that provided access to the rear yard, which we'll look at closer later. Next slide. By 1956, 87 Sullivan is demolished, leaving us with this empty lot or parking lot that we have today. The smaller utilitarian additions in the rear yard are also removed. Next slide. And then sometime between 1956 and designation, the rear buildings are demolished and some small additions are added to the rear of both properties. Next slide. So going to historic photos, on the left is a 1927 photo, which is the earliest photo documentation we have of the buildings. The middle and right-hand photos are the circa 1940s tax photos. So in the center photo, we see 85 Sullivan. By this time, 87 Sullivan has already been demolished, and there is a corrugated metal siding on the sidewall, which is still there today. Those back buildings that we were seeing in the diagrams are visible from this vantage point. There's an arrow pointing to them. And then just noting nearly all of the windows at both houses are 2/2 in configuration at the time, and both doors have glazing inserted into the door itself to provide light into the interior. Next slide. As additional context, outside of our site, we looked at other federal style row houses and early to mid 19th century row houses to sort of study typical features and how they evolve over time. Here we have a collection of early 19th century row houses with exposed sidewalls, and we see a common use of a stucco side facades. Because we have a corrugated sheet metal side, we're sort of thinking about what an appropriate material might be because it needs to be rebuilt per structural advice. We also see the presence of tall chimneys at the edges of buildings or to separate groups of buildings. Next slide. We have 2 specific sites that have sort of similarly complex histories to 83 and 85 Sullivan. One is 263 Henry Street, which is also an individual landmark designated in 1966. So on the Lower East Side. It was originally built in 1827 as a federal style row house with a gabled roof. And then it was actually raised up 2 stories in 1880. And as part of its expansion, it also has a late 19th century full height rear addition, which we can see in the bottom right map, as well as in the existing photo in the middle. And you see that addition, that historic addition goes beyond the original sidewall of the house and pops out. And then in the circa 1940s tax photo on the left-hand side, we can also see this small extension to the left side of the house. This was this sort of practical horizontal addition that provided access to the rear addition, as you see in the map. This is similar to that horizontal addition that I mentioned at 85 Sullivan, our neighbor, seen in the top right-hand map, which was a 1-story wooden structure enclosure that provided protected access to the rear yard. Next slide. And then another house with a similarly complicated history is 70 Bedford Street, which was built in 1806, again, as a federal two-story house with a gabled roof. Originally had a narrow carriage drive next to the house to provide access to the rear yard. It was raised up one story in 1858. And then in 1868, the owners of the house developed a factory in the rear yard, which you can see behind the house in pink in the historic map. And that side carriage drive was repurposed into a passageway for the factory. Also, around the same time, an addition was added to the rear of the house as well. And then in 2001, LPC approved a rooftop addition, a sort of reimagining of the side passageway as an extension of the house, as well as a rear yard addition that extended beyond the house's sidewall and is visible from the street, as you are likely familiar with experience along Bedford Street. And this approval and the site's history is all related to this complexity of the site. Next slide. So getting into the facade scope, next slide. These are designation photos from 1973 when they became individual landmarks, focusing on the features that that designation report calls out, including the federal doorways, the Flemish bond brick, the ironwork and the low stoops, and the cornices. Next slide. All of the extant historic elements will be preserved and repaired as necessary. The doors, surround, and transom are historic and will remain. The doors are not historic, will be replaced with new doors to match the circa 1940 tax photo, which is the best photo we have of the doors. All of the existing ironwork will remain, the cornices will be scraped and repainted, and the horse walk in its entirety will remain. Next slide. And then just some existing conditions of the deterioration at the brick and mortar and exposed brownstone, all of which will be repaired where necessary. Simple sheet metal caps have been added to some of the sills and lintels. These will be removed and the underlying brownstone restored. The windows, as you see in the bottom center, have been poorly maintained and require replacement. Next slide. And this slide just shows the proposed facade restoration work, and we can go into more detail if there are any questions. Next slide. For the windows, we're proposing new 2/2 double hung wood windows to match the tax photo, painted a dark blue, similar to 116 Sullivan Street, also an individual landmark that is similar in age and style. We're also proposing operable louvered shutters, again, similar to what is seen at 116 Sullivan, which is on the right-hand side. 83, 85 Sullivan both have existing pintles indicating that they used to have shutters at one point. Next slide. And then just a summary of the proposed work at the front as a whole, including the masonry and metal restoration, new 2/2 windows, new shutters, and then the new doors, which you see in the elevation here to match the 1940 tax photo, which includes those areas of glazing. And now I'll pass it on to Jonathan, who will go through the remainder of the presentation.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Jonathan Taves of Davies Taves Architecture. Thank you for hosting us tonight, and thank you for staying late to review this somewhat complex proposal. So I'm going to start by going over a little bit more about the existing state of 85, the side and the rear, and then I'll go into our proposed restoration and the additions to the rear of the building. So 85 Sullivan is in a state of severe deterioration, which is a condition inherited by the current owner, our client. So we brought Silman structural engineers on early to assess and evaluate the state of the building. These photos show the compromised exterior wall. You can see the photo in the middle top with the large hole in the exterior wall, which is caused by the buckling of the sidewall. The photo on the upper right actually is a picture of the interior structural shoring that was installed in 2009. It's throughout the whole building, and it was installed because the failure of that north exterior wall, complete failure of it. So it's basically the building is currently held up by that shoring. It's unoccupiable in the state. And then the state of that wall is shown in the lower left image, or the middle bottom, I guess, with the rotting timber and the loose brick that's falling out, which isn't structural. It was built into the wall, but that's also part of the deterioration. Next slide. So looking at the buildings from the rear, 83 Sullivan Street is now on the left, 85 is on the right. 83 has been continuously occupied as far as we know through today. And 85 has been unoccupied since at least 2009 and likely before that. So just zooming in on the next slide on the condition at 85, you can see the deterioration of the exterior stucco finish, missing windows that have let a lot of weather in, as well as that large hole. We indicated before there were several holes when we started this project. Those have now been filled with spray foam to keep bulk water out. And you can see the steel tiebacks that were installed on the rear facade. They were also installed in the front, not visible, but they were installed on both sides to keep the facades from separating from the building due to all this deterioration. So Silman has recommended the complete reconstruction of both the north side and the rear of 85 Sullivan. Next slide. So this is the drafted elevation on the side showing the disjointed materiality and some of the decay. There's plants growing out of the building, et cetera. The next slide is our proposed restoration of this wall. Notably, we're proposing to use a stucco finish typical to buildings of that style, as mentioned by Sarah earlier. Next slide. So this is the drafted version of the rear facade. Our proposal includes the removal of the two-story addition that's on the right side of 83 Sullivan in the middle of this image, as well as restoration of the masonry wall at 83 Sullivan, and which is still intact. 85 Sullivan, the plan is to be completely reconstructed, but maintaining all the locations of the original openings. So the next slide. So this next slide is actually an image of the restoration of that wall prior to the addition that we are proposing. So this is showing that restoration of that wall, and the priority being to preserve the materiality, that original volume, and along the location of those walls exactly as they are, and to create a stable building, a stable structural envelope. The red line on here indicates the extent of the proposed addition, which is going to connect this mass. But the material reading of this wall will be felt in the interior spaces as well. The brick will be exposed inside and somewhat visible through the glass of the addition. Next slide. So moving on to our proposal for the rear. First, talking a little bit about the construction methodology for this addition. We were looking at a 19th century tradition of T-porch additions in New York City as a historic form of extension that preserves the existing masonry wall while providing a new indoor-outdoor space, lightweight construction on the outside of the building or on the outside of that original building that contrasts with the original massing. So the second element of our design inspiration, next slide, is looking at copper in the city. So looking at both historic examples of copper used in New York on the left, 4 images, and on the right, also looking at this modern tradition of using copper for its utility in managing building envelopes and water, its ability to patina, and its sort of aesthetic quality as well. So next slide. So jumping back to looking at the rear facade, this is a more expansive view of what's going on behind the building. You can see the current mixed context in terms of style, in terms of alignment. There's a lot of ins and outs. It's not a consistent rear wall inside this block at all. And you can see on the far left is actually the mass of the back building that still exists at 81 Sullivan in what's now the legal setback. So next slide. So moving now to a rendered image of the same, and then I'm going to go through some slides that build up the proposed addition. So the next image is of that restored rear masonry wall. We're proposing to use two slightly different shades of brick. One of the issues that has come up in talking to LPC is to really maintain, while these are sister buildings united in the front for the first 2 floors, they are also 2 separate landmarks, and so we're keeping this jog in the back wall, and there's some other small nuances that we're preserving to maintain those 2 separate identities. So you can see that jog in the back wall. And the next slide is of the section through that sort of where.
Go back, please, to the previous slide.
Yeah.
I think this is the moment to settle. The windows are being changed somewhat in configuration, correct?
So for the most part, they are where there's an existing
Oh,
window
from
open.
from original, I speak of.
I mean, we're holding to the original locations where they are remaining exterior. At interior locations, we're dropping those sills down to create doorways inside the building. So the plan location is the same. And then there are two locations where there's currently no wall at all, where that two-story existing addition exists.
Yeah.
So we're putting in windows of the same size and
And
proportion.
it's hard to see what the windows are. Are they of historic design?
These are casement windows with no divisions on the rear.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Casement windows with no divided light, one single light
Okay.
for the rear of the building.
Sorry, go on, please.
All right. So the next slide shows the cut through that first section of the addition, illustrating the courtyard. That is that first piece behind the building to really emphasize a separation where we can from that existing mass. You can see a 3-story addition proposed for 83 and a 2-story addition at 85, and then the penthouse 4th floor on the top, the rooftop addition. So next slide. So this is the full scope of the addition. And you can see the final piece beyond the courtyard is a 1-story addition that goes all the way across the property. It steps down a little bit towards the south. And the bulk of this addition massing is on the south side or the left side of this image against the existing mass and most hidden from any public view. And the additions, again, are meant to be lightweight steel construction with copper cladding and large expanses of glass to really preserve that contrast between original, existing, and the new addition. Next slide. So the roof terraces have always been considered by our owner as having a lot of green. So just to illustrate that there's a lot of green space occurring on this building to effectively soften the presence in the backyard. Next slide. And finally, the 2 existing trees are beloved by our client, quite special. They're a major character of this internal block space, and they're fully committed to preserving them, keeping them in place, and doing whatever needs to be done to protect them during construction. So next slide is just recapping a little bit of what Sarah talked about in terms of the historic back buildings in this lot. So you can see the condition in the 1820s on the left when they were first built with the pair of buildings in the rear yard. And then 100 years later in the 1920s, the accrual of these back buildings in the mid-block, the sort of mid-block world that was emerging at that time. The third image is an axon view of the same. And then on the right is our proposed 1st floor plan. You can see the courtyard between the addition and the original building. The total proposed above ground square footage is slightly less from what we can tell in the records of the condition in 1922. So in terms of what was visible square footage on this lot, we're within that, slightly under. Next slide. So this is our ground floor plan. You can see the preserved original building footprint and floor plate, including the original chimney, the preserved horse walk in its entirety along the property line on the south, the courtyard, as I mentioned a few times, to keep that separation from the original volume, and then the rear, the full 30-foot rear setback and a setback as well on the north side of that volume. Next slide. So looking at the sections, so this is the existing building as it is with the 2-story addition that's there now. And you can also see a little bit the neighbor's back building back there, the shadow of it, and the kind of outline of the building that was once there. And you can see the profile of the neighbor immediately to the south, which is a little bit high, is 1 story taller than our building. So then looking at proposed sections moving from the north of 85 down through to the south. So this first image is through 85 Sullivan. You can see the kitchen and living room extensions at the ground floor. It's a home office extension on the 2nd floor. And just to note, this whole addition with its structurally contrasting delineation is also fully structurally independent from that back wall. The basement excavation begins at that line, so we're leaving the existing basement. We're not excavating except for where we need to shore up the deteriorated walls and fix other structural issues. We are not intending to excavate down in the original basement. Below that, we're going about 5 feet down to create the basement under the addition, and there's a pool at the back of the basement. So we've been working with Silman, as I mentioned, and GZA to do the shoring of excavation drawings and the demolition, sequencing, and shoring drawings for the project. Langen Engineers was on board to do geotechnical boring and analysis and all that stuff. So we've been working through those issues and are engaging with LPC on the enhanced engineering report. Next slide is the section through the courtyard. As I've mentioned, in this cut, you can see the proposed rooftop addition, which is sloped back to minimize the presence of that massing on the top and to stay out of the view line. The next image is the section through 83, showing the full extension, at its most, at the highest point of most square footage added. So you can see in this image the mechanical countersunk into the rooftop addition at the back there, and you can see the preserved parapet at the line of the new addition as well, on the back as well. So the next image is our elevation with the additions included. So you can see the proposed rooftop addition, which with its sloped roof. And you can also see, it's a little bit tricky, but you'll see it in the next image that there's a articulated difference between the rooftop addition over 83 and that over 85. You'll see it in the rendering in a minute. And you can see the one-story side addition, which, in case you missed that before, there is a one-story infill to the lot line that's set back from the facade on the ground floor. That's actually, when Sarah was talking about Henry Street, that was our precedent for additions to these federal-style buildings that went to the lot line subsequent to the original massing. So the next image is a rendering of the rooftop addition. As I mentioned, a slightly different fenestration articulation over 83 and over 85. Most of it is copper clad. And then there's the chimney extension in the middle, which is in keeping with these federal-style chimney additions. It's actually where it is now. It's just a bit taller to accommodate the additional floor. You can see the mechanical units back there. So we've been working with our engineers to reduce the number of units. We had 3, we now have 2, just because we're able to reduce the capacity required. And also we moved the building ventilation, the ERV, down into the basement. So we're doing everything we can to remove these things from public view. They're not in the line of sight, but they're still out there. And to move them to the south as much as possible to keep them out of that. There is some exposure, as you'll see in the mock-up photos from up Sullivan Street. So we're trying to push everything, including the stair bulkhead, towards the south, away out of view. And I think there'll be a material change as it goes from that midpoint right there between the copper and the bulkhead construction. Next slide is a plan of the roof showing all these elements. You can also, and it's a little bit tricky to see here, but there's a 6-foot setback that wraps around the west and north sides. The mechanical equipment, as I mentioned, are tucked as far as we can get them into the south corner of the roof. And you can see, it's a little tricky, but you can see that the penthouse addition is actually set back from that rear parapet at both 83 and 85. So now zooming out a little bit and looking at the context of the block. So this is the complete context of this Sullivan-Thompson Historic District block with its up and down mix of tenement buildings, newer construction, and there are a couple federal-style buildings down the block. So this is the existing drawing, and the next slide is our proposed addition. In this context, relatively minor rooftop extension. Let's see, the next slide. So moving on to our photographs of the mock-up, which is currently on top of the building. I don't know if you had a chance to walk by. It is still up. So this is looking from Spring Street. So Spring Street is higher in elevation from where we are on Sullivan, so you have a little bit more of a vantage point. It's a little tricky to see here, but there's orange up there. You can see the side and the kind of corner of that addition. The image on the right is the photo montage with the actual rendered proposal. And so I'm just going to move down the street a little bit. So the next slide is, again, the same elements. You can see that the context, that the neighboring buildings are taller. So we're within that sort of skyline context of the neighbors, the backdrop. And really, this is the only place from down the block you're below, and it's masked by other buildings. You can't see it from anywhere else on any other street. So it's really that Spring and Sullivan intersection where you can kind of see in there. The next slide is the oblique view from across the street looking into that empty lot. So existing on the left with the mock-up in place, you can see a little bit of the railing on the top there. And then the rendered photo montage on the right. You can see the first floor addition to the lot line, and you can see that one second floor room that pops out in copper at the back of the building. The next image is back to our lovely front facade. So this is the existing condition. This is actually a photo of the mock-up. You should be able to see the chimney massing, but it's a little bit blasted out by the contrast, but you'll see in the next image how that, the rendering, how that would extend along with the new shutters, the 2/2 windows, the reconstructed historic doors from the tax photos with bottle glass on the left, and restored railings. And then you can see the first floor addition set back there on the left. Thank you for listening to the long presentation. I think that is the end.
Thank you. I'll do my sort of mechanical questions first of all, and then we'll have the regular committee time. The rooftop addition is there. It's a little hard to see in just the rendering from the front. Is there a distinction in it that we can tell that the two buildings apart?
So if you go to the rendering, the distinction is really sorry, one second. So the copper roof goes across, the sloped roof goes across, and there's copper siding both over 85 and over 3. The difference is that the glazing at the eave differentiates the addition over 83.
And my next question is the copper. Are there other examples in the district, or I think we could safely say in the village, since these are typical houses of the village as well, the use of copper in such an extensive way?
I do not believe there are examples of such an extensive use of copper, but we can do a little bit more research and see exactly where there are copper additions. I'm sure there are some. They're all over the city.
The examples you showed were really
Bay
more the
windows,
decorative
yeah.
kind of use.
That's true. That's true.
Limited areas. So that was the question.
Yeah.
The excavation, how deep and extensive is it, and does it require underpinning?
Okay, so right now, if you actually go to the section, you can see there is limited underpinning. I think at our elevator shaft, we have a little bit of discontinuous underpinning, about 5 feet against 81 Sullivan. We don't have, when we're working around the old walls, we are underpinning to make sure they stay stable. I think there's the chimney is going to be underpinned. Sorry, I'm checking with my team just briefly because it's not, we were able to get out of a lot. From our probes, we discovered that 81 Sullivan's footings are high enough that we don't need to underpin the neighbor. For the most part, there's a couple spot places where we do.
Sorry, you're not underpinning the neighbor.
I don't believe we're underpinning the neighbor. We're not underpinning the neighbor. We may, hold on, it's a little bit nuanced. So the elevator.
It is or it isn't. It's important to know if neighbors are being underpinned.
No, I know. So we've been actually responding to, we've been moving our foundations up and down. So we're underpinning at the elevator. So it's about let's call it 10 feet to give it a little bit extra space in the middle of our building, if you look at the plan. But actually you can see here is that the horse walk allows our foundations to be moved away from that existing building. And then if you move your hand to the right a little bit, we need to underpin a piece of that rear building. Keep going right there. So there are two locations where we are doing underpinning. Sorry to take
And what you're showing now is the south boundary.
Correct. Against 81 Sullivan.
Could we go back to the rendering, I guess is the best thing, of the balconies with the planting the way it's meant to look finally? There were several of them.
Maybe one before so you can see it a little bit more.
Okay, what we're seeing now is in the darker color is the extensions, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's right.
And then on the ground level, is this a glass wall enclosing? It looks like a glass wall enclosing some area
Yes.
for the extension.
So that is a sliding glass wall. All of those sizes are true, and the dimensions are true from Victrux as the company. They actually have a flush sill, so there's an invisible, it's just a track at the bottom. And so there would be two pairs of sliding. We haven't worked out exactly if they're all moving or just two, and then the same on the left, two more sliding doors.
And those, I'm just trying to see in terms of the rear facade what we're supposed to be seeing.
Yeah.
Are these rooms or are these indoor, outdoor areas? What are they? What are
So
we?
they are rooms that's living and dining. Actually both across. The dining is going to probably be closer to the kitchen, but they are big, voluminous, or they're voluminous spaces with doors that open onto the courtyard and doors that open onto the rear yard.
Okay, so we'd see them as rooms of the house with the facade, the newly constructed facade behind them.
Correct.
Okay. I just want to be clear about the doors. You're going back to matching doors from the 40s, and do they match each other then?
They do not match each other, and that was actually something that LPC was interested. Our original proposal, we were thinking about matching the door on 85 and doing two of that type of light, and they were actually like, well, you don't have any evidence that was ever there on 83, but we do have evidence of this version of the door.
So the doors and the cornices are what are respecting the modifications over the years.
Sure. There's also a visible seam in the brick on the third floor between the buildings, but that's a minor detail. If you're looking for it, you can see it.
It's very important, and I could see today in just looking at them that there are two buildings that were meant to match.
Mhm.
So keeping that we consider to be very important. There was a picture that came across the parking lot that showed a rendering of the extension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What this is the two extensions that we saw in elevation that step up to the house. Is that correct?
Yes. There's a one-story, the ground floor extension, and then there's one moment where there's one room on the second floor that comes out and it's clad in copper.
Okay.
Is that
And is it then spaced from the house?
That one is touching the house.
Because it just that lightness looks like
Yeah, it has a window in it. I can see that image. It might be a little bit difficult to see. There's
I
a
believe that's all the questions.
Can I ask directly after your comment, only because I'm trying to understand what I'm looking at as far as this rear extension. The floor plan doesn't show that. It shows the floor plan, whatever, page 46 or something.
Yeah, it's the ground floor plan. Do you want to see the other floor plans?
I just want to understand how come there's a break there and it doesn't show on the ground floor.
So that you're talking about that second floor, that copper piece that I was just talking about. You see, this is the second.
I see.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
thanks for
where
your
you see a
patience.
little sliver window.
Yes, exactly. It's actually, you don't see it in the plan, but it's in the rendering. But yeah, that's where that window is in the rendering.
Too bad you didn't step it back instead of forward. It would have helped.
It's interesting, actually. If once you step back by code, you have to be 5 feet back. So you have to go. Yeah, you would need to. You go pretty far back, and that the owner was hoping to get this width of the room.
All right, Brian.
Oh, boy, so many little things. Well, first of all, did you say your name was pronounced Taze?
Taves, yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taze. You said that the number 85 was vacant for how long?
So as far as I know, at least since 2009, which is when the structural work was filed and completed. And you can't occupy it as it's currently in its current state. The stairs are covered with structural shoring.
Yeah, and 83 is occupied or has been until recently.
83 has been occupied and is currently occupied.
By how many?
It's single family. And it was, actually, I don't know if it was single family before. Okay.
Okay. All right. So the copper clad upper areas, or for that matter, wherever copper cladding is used, is that going to weather naturally, or is it going to be the type that stays bright?
So it's a great question. The owner wants to use copper that weathers to a certain point, but doesn't go completely to verdigris, to green. So, and except for some areas, that's a detail we're working on, but it's definitely meant to be weathered. It's just at what point do we stop the weathering?
Interesting. Okay, you mentioned Silman Engineering and Thailand is listed.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today. Should I use their current name or the name that most people know them by? So yeah, it's Thailand is their current name of Silman.
Okay.
They were bought. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And then on the little alleyway or the ghost horse on the left side.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell exactly how you're treating that immediate facade corner. Do you have a gate first, or is that a door to the addition?
Okay, so it is not a door to the addition. It's probably going to be a place to put a recycling bin, although we're not sure yet. We're going to keep the gate that's there, but we're definitely doing that setback to not confuse with the historic line of the facade.
Talking about.
We're limited on how far back we can go.
Talking about two different things. He's talking about the horse walk.
No, well, for the one on the left is the first thing, how that is added on the one-story addition there. It was a little hard to say. Different places, just how far back it was set, and if there were doors, and how that's going to look. There looks like a big inset.
It's 2'7". By code, we can't go deeper than its width, so that's the point we went to. We could go shallower, but we thought it was good to distinguish the front elevation.
Okay, and so the original wall that was there of number 85 is gone, totally gone. It's rebuilt out at the lot line.
Just the first floor. So
Just the first floor, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something we've been working on with Thailand, the structural engineers, on exactly how would that piece, the primary line of structure is the existing one, and then we're going to sort of jut out to, we would jut out to support that one-story addition.
Okay, so one last question on this particular corner. What's behind the gate? What do you see behind the gate?
So you would see a like 3 foot by 3 foot place, and I think they could. One thought has been to use it as a place to keep a recycling bin. I mean, that's not the most illustrious example, but at least it's not on the curbside. And that's something that's in flux. We could also remove that gate, but I think there have been issues with people coming in and occupying spaces like that. So it's either going to be recycling or a planted a tree or a small plant in there. Landscape.
Okay, that's I think that's all I could ask now.
Yeah, I have a few quick questions. The copper, I don't see any details. Did you develop details of what a wall looks like?
It's in progress. We're actually doing it this week because it was a question from Landmarks as well. We do not have a drafted detail right now.
Then my follow-up question would be, are you going to have ridges similar to what you're pointing to now so that you don't have these huge expanses?
Yes. So, and that is actually something that we have been discussing, whether it's a thicker rigid panel or more of a crimped, like a standing seam. Actually, like the image on the lower right there, it's new copper, but that's a similar, or like a standing seam roof. That is part of the detailing that we are working on. I think
I would
now we're going through this.
Go with that, because also it breaks down the scale. Otherwise,
exactly, completely.
And it won't weather well. Trust me, I'm having a big sheet of copper. I think would be disappointing to you.
Absolutely. We're definitely going to break down the scale. We're aware of this issue, and we think about it a lot. The penthouse shows a little bit of that standing seam concept. It's a little tricky, and it might even be twice as many. That's, I think,
I think exactly. I don't think that counts.
We're looking at more like a 2 foot.
You have to have it at small intervals.
Absolutely.
The other thing is, if you could just go to that side view where you can see into the block. There you go. Zoom in on that if you would. It seems so odd to me, that rear addition. It looks like an adobe house or something. It doesn't have any memory or any reflection of the building that it's attached to. And it is visible. And I think it would be better if it were not such a stark contrast to the historic building.
To your earlier point, it would have more detail to the surface.
Well, surface or cornice or something. It's nothing. To me, it's like a mud adobe house.
I know. I hear what you're saying.
Even the massing, the stepping, it doesn't look like a Greenwich Village, row house extension. Looks like something else from another part of the country. And that's not so good in this highly visible view.
Gotcha.
I have a question. I'm not really understanding when I look at it's a very exciting look, the proposed rear addition, for sure. But when I look at it and I see this, void to solid kind of relationship, it is without precedent in our landmark district, and it's totally not relating. I mean, yes, we can see through it to the original building, but the addition itself is totally unrelated to the vocabulary of the historic architecture. I mean, we're accustomed to seeing this maybe in the sense of, you know, a two-story addition where somebody wants some nice big windows or something, but this is so extreme that I'm just looking for some insight from you as to why you consider this appropriate here.
Yeah, so actually we did spend a lot of time pulling these lines, the plan lines that divide it are based on the window locations from the original building. Yes, stylistically, it is nothing like the building that's there. I think we're also but one point I would like to make is that the T-porch buildings had a more similar. This is a little bit more modern and bigger expanses of glass, but there is that the precedent for the T-porches. We felt, especially on the left there, that kind of open framed contrast to the punched opening in a masonry wall was a little bit of our guiding principle for the articulation of the rear.
In Brooklyn Heights, yeah, but
That one is in Brooklyn Heights. The other one is on Charles Street. There are not that many. There's not a ton of photographs of those, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They've been torn down because they're wood, not maintained, I think.
Yeah.
Can you also
can I just-
explain? Oh,
Yeah.
On that, on the same subject of the glass going down, what is the level? Is that like at the, what level is that at? That's a roof, right? There's no, and then it goes to grass? Is there an explanation on that? Do you understand my question? I'm wondering where I am in the elevation world when I step out of that fancy room.
Oh, you're like a little step up from the yard. The yard would likely be planted. I think in this image we're showing more of a paver version, but that's still in process. So landscaped, obviously around the trees, there would be areas of porosity. If it's not grass, it's some other permeable surface.
Okay.
So you would be stepping down onto probably a soft surface, I would say. It might be a combination of pavers and grass or gravel.
Thank you.
Is that skylight at the sill of those sliding doors walkable?
Yes, it is. That's a great detail that you're pointing out. You can see it in the section. It's not as visible in this image, but yes, it would be walkable glass.
Okay.
Can I just add something about the design? Not coming from a designer, but just as someone who works on these row house projects a lot, often with the rear yard additions, what's happening is sort of a blowing out of the rear wall that just attaches to the addition in the back. And this, I think, is a much different approach because the masonry walls are being preserved and the window openings are being preserved, and there's just a dropping of the sills. And so the intent is something very lightweight that's actually completely structurally separate from the rear masonry walls, so that like there's just a clear delineation of historic volume and masonry openings, and then something lightweight that just allows a porosity between exterior and like the rear yard and the rear wall.
Yeah, although once they're furnished rooms, that becomes something, that becomes like a third thing. But I understand your point. Thank you.
And curtains.
Well,
Everybody's
I think that as far as visibility from the street is concerned, it's black and white, you might say. This view, the rear yard, that's very delightful. And it's not seen from the public right away, so that gives you some leeway. On the other hand, from the street, and you're looking at the side walls, you've got the original building, I believe you said stuccoed.
Yes.
And then you change that to copper cladding. And yet it continues going back with a very large side wall. You don't show us an elevation view of it, except
we have it. We can go to it. Sorry, it's in our back here. It's in our appendix.
Also, it steps forward.
Okay.
that thing steps forward, I think is also important in the back. Right? Instead of back. It's coming at you, so it's, you know,
To the lot line.
if it went step back, you could say, oh, it's in shadow, and oh, whatever. It's
Oh,
not
I see what you're
a line.
Okay, so.
It is on the lot line.
Yeah, here I see that, the one-story addition, horse walk kind of thing,
Yeah.
that's all stucco too, right?
Correct.
It's just the, above that, it gets copper cladding.
Yeah, it's just that one volume, correct.
And then way in the back, let's see, what is that? Oh, that's, what's the lower level on the far left?
Right now it's blocked with stucco. I know that there's a lot of college activity on the other side of the line there, and then the owner's a little bit concerned with visibility. It could be a wood fence, but I think right now I think he's hoping it could be a solid wall.
Yeah, right. Well, it's lot line and there used to be buildings back there, so who knows what can be built. I'm sure it won't stay a parking lot very long.
Yeah, not in this day and age.
No, so you'll have somebody building next to you, so.
Yeah, that's the other.
Okay, so that's a nice view, a nice clarification of that. So that helps.
Can I ask a question? Same, go back to that same plan. Elevation, sorry.
This one?
No, the elevation, there you go.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, I have a problem with that copper that pops out, as you know.
Yes.
But I also have a problem when I look at this, you're now saying this is going to be stucco, and then on the same plane, you're going to turn it into copper. I mean, you guys are great designers. You wouldn't do that, would you?
You're talking about the little addition?
That box that's.
Yeah, so we had it the same material for a while, and it felt like it was cleaner to run the straight line of stucco and then the materiality of that box. We may detail it so it sets in a little bit. That's a detailing of it, not significantly, but maybe a few inches. We could also stucco it if that's a preferred.
I think you have to set it back, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I understand.
And then I would be happier. And you have a lot of other room to mush around. But I think it's really making a statement that we don't want to be made, you know. I know it's being renovated and restored and beautified.
So if I may also suggest that the detail that you show in your other renderings, capping off that one-story addition above the ghost walk.
Yeah, there is a sloped metal roof with a skylight over a portion there that has a skylight in it about halfway back, part of that area.
That's going to change the look of the elevation, and it may give you some hint of how you can make that transition or how to handle those.
Oh, that's a great point. And that was actually something we were just thinking about in our office, whether, we were adjusting for the slope, and you're right, I don't think it's showing up yet in that elevation. So that's an update. And I also agree with you that it can inform how we articulate that second story piece. And
maybe also simplify the volume. In other words, the other thing that bothers me is the step. That's not.
I wanted to explain that.
Looking.
Yeah. So that's actually, that piece is a railing. I think I'm already wondering if we want to, it's solid because of the neighbor condition, but it's like a 42-inch railing extension of the copper. But I think you're right that we should articulate that if it's going to be solid, it could be a different material or
solid, or again, you have even inches breaks the plane.
Yeah,
and it makes it express something different than that.
Yep.
Well, that's it for me. Brian, anything?
Very interesting project.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for this great presentation.
Well, thank you for reviewing it.
And we'll move to the public now. Before I check in with Chanel. Chanel, do you have any other questions? Chanel, are you good?
I can't.
You're muted, Chanel.
Okay, sorry. This is the sort of application that I say, I wonder why, assuming this is driven by the owners, this house to do this kind of work. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit. I won't go into the details because everyone else has covered them. I'd just like to read the first two whereas clauses from our resolution concerning 85 Sullivan Street. It came as an independent application, and very considerable work was done on the design, and it was clearly never carried out. 85 Sullivan Street, together with the matching row house at 83 Sullivan Street, located in the Sullivan Thompson Historic District, were designed as designated as individual landmarks in 1973, prior to the creation in 2016 of the district. In an article in the New York Times, May 15th, 2019, the Landmarks Commission Chair Carroll's stated in reference to individual landmarks lying within a landmark district that the designation would add an extra layer of protection if the owners sought permission for exterior changes. Further to this, we had an application last month that involved a modification of the rear facade. The commission takes seriously both the front and the rear, most especially with this kind of a property. And they spent more time discussing the rear facade than the front facade. So the most especially with an individual landmark, the entire building has to be considered, and what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that, Chenault. All right, I don't see any hands raised from the public, but I just want to verify that there isn't anybody who would like to speak. I don't see anything, do you? No, all right. All right, very good. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we'll go to our executive session now.
Thank you.
And to our executive session.
Would we like to begin with this one?
Yeah, why not?
Sure,
Sure.
it's fresh.
We don't have that many anyway.
No.
Okay.
It is so complex and convoluted. May I suggest that we do the usual thing of taking a little trip around the building in order from the front to the back to the top.
Yeah.
So that we get all, because the comments particularly were rather distorted. If we could begin with the front facade. The issue there was the doors, a presumed faithful restoration of the brickwork and so forth, and changing.
Yeah. It's a restoration job. I think that's what it should be. Yeah.
It all looked good.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Me too.
And next, going around the horse walk. It's part of the whole thing of why fill in a horse walk?
When you're calling a horse walk,
more space in a place that's not.
that's the north one you're talking about. You're calling that the horse walk?
I'm talking about the horse walk.
The north
Filling it
one?
up. Essentially filling it up with building.
Yeah. North.
North. All right, I just want to be clear. All right. Well, I don't mind that because that's, what is it gonna be used for anyway? I think if they own it, it's their property. I don't mind that. It's kind of otherwise, it's just gonna be a debris thing, you know, we're into defensible spaces. We can't have little pockets where people can move in unless they have relatives they don't like.
That's why I kind of spent a lot of time just getting that defined, because it didn't seem like it was that well defined on the drawings, but in the end, I fully understood it. And I think
Understood it, but the question is, part of if you look at this whole property, one of its historic elements is the horse walk. If it's filled in, the historic element is shot.
I agree. And therefore, my conclusion is that the north horse walk should reflect an original horse walk kind of feature. In other words, that the gate could be an opaque door on the face of that addition, so that it looks like the one on the south.
That's right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a recess.
Kind of a matching, a matching set, one on the north matching the one on the south, which the one on the south, they've done a good job. As we just said, the facade, the south facade, the front facade is fine. So I think that the north side, it should look like a horse walk. And then they can reserve a certain amount of that behind the door for the garbage or whatever, yard storage. And, you wouldn't know the difference.
Good point.
The looming thing, of course, with the whole application, or to a large extent, is the fact that through no fault of ours, certainly, there's enormous visibility there. So that.
Well, maybe not for long, but we have to judge it on what we can
What
see
it
now.
currently is, that's right.
Okay, the rear facade.
But while we're on that north facade, I think shouldn't we address the aspect of the rear addition that is so visually prominent from?
We'll do the building and then the addition,
Okay,
since the building shows through the addition.
okay.
Well, the windows.
What about the rear facade?
Historic windows.
Are we on the rear facade?
They're one pane windows.
So, no, the question is, there's no windows on the side, so we're talking about the rear.
I'm sorry, are you still talking about the side?
No,
We're trying to follow you.
Are you talking about the rear?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
talking
It
about
must
the
be.
rear facade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think first off, we should say, well, it's very great that the old wall is there. And that's something, that is a memory, and then they've made everything beyond that very transparent. So I think that's a plus, that you can see the old original.
Right, and I'm talking about the windows in the facade.
In the original
They are
facade.
not historic windows.
Well, there are no windows, they're just open, aren't they?
No, there's a few in the middle,
Yeah, but they match it would be weird to start having little oldie tiny things with this.
Well, I don't know. That's a good point that Chanel makes, is that what we've often asked for in the rear courtyard is that the top floor be the 3 bay windows, and that they match the old, and we try to keep that reminder, even if what's below it is a little different. And I'm wondering if it seems like.
Isn't it just in the courtyard that you see this? You don't see it over here. It's only in the
I
courtyard.
asked about it, the drawing's a little.
No, you see it through the glass.
And I asked, and he said that it's one.
Well,
piece
through the
of glass.
glass is the interior. You don't need, they could have whatever, it's not a window.
Well, the 83 is going to be built up all the way.
Okay.
But 85 has the entire top floor exposed and a little bit at the courtyard.
Top floor exposed. Oh, you mean the addition?
Yeah.
Oh, this one, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's an interesting point. I don't think the final like it, but yeah.
No, I totally agree with you, Brian. I also think that part of the concept here is obviously some relationship between the original existing and the new. So then what is
Between what?
and the original and the new, right? So when the original represents the original architecture of the building,
Mhm.
it should represent the original architecture of the building. And that includes windows.
So,
Yeah, that's my point.
yeah, and so I guess I would sum that up by suggesting that they consider that any of that rear wall that they're reconstructing with the original window openings have historically accurate windows in them.
Yeah, I support that 100%.
Yeah, that was my point.
And in the courtyard, then it would go all the way down, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything that's exposed to the exterior there.
Exterior.
Yeah, what's on the inside, that's something else.
I'm sorry, we stopped on the north. Are there windows on the north wall facade? I can't remember without looking up.
There's just that little return window on the popped out back.
Right, so there's not,
There is a sliver window, very modern, absolutely no relationship to anything except.
shall we then extend this to all windows in the masonry are to be of historic?
Well, these are in copper. That's, well,
No, no, they're gonna be only the ones
I'm not talking about the north.
the original north.
Oh, the front? The side.
No, the north is the side.
Yeah. He's talking about, are there any windows? And there's only a sliver window between the new and the old, which is in the new. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that doesn't work,
But that's, yeah.
but that doesn't work anyway, so.
Right, but
Maybe,
the larger discussion there is
Yeah.
something else, yeah.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the facade is obviously new, but
Mhm.
it's a rebuilding of the historic facade, sort of. So that, what is it called? Rear addition.
yeah.
Mhm.
I think there is no excuse for it whatsoever. I would have it gone. I mean, to say that it's a tea house inspiration is an affront.
Yeah, that's a stretch, I have to agree.
The rear reconstruction modifies in a reasonable way the original extension to the original building, but this has nothing to do with anything, and doubly so for an individual landmark, which is.
But it's in the rear. I mean, you're not going, that may be so,
from
but.
the commission is, I think rightly, really honing in on the rear these days.
Well, good. I've never seen that before. I thought we were the only one.
I was speaking about earlier the 11th Street building. They really just drilled into that. They wanted to know why one would change it at all, and that what's there represented the famous 20s reconstruction, and they were more concerned with it than
Okay.
more concerned in the front, but they spent more time on it. So
Also, I mean, sorry to interrupt, Chanel, but we mustn't.
but thinking of what we do, we say, a nice 2-story thing and preserve the top. And to plunk this onto the back of it, I just don't think is possible.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I also think that the really driving point for us here is the fact that, you know, this isn't just these aren't your average old row houses in historic districts, in which case I would likely still agree with you, but let's just put that aside. The fact that these are not even one, but two individual landmarks, you know, we can't ignore that. And
In
I
a
think
landmark
that
district.
change,
That's
that in a
why I think
landmark
we have to be
district,
so
it's like,
incredibly strict on the preservation.
yes, absolutely. I'm totally there with you. And I think that the fact that it's, you know, that they're individual landmarks, that there are two of them, and, you know, that I think it's like the icing on the cake, that, and I'm glad to hear that the commission is paying more attention to rear facades. And I think that we really, you know, if the commission feels differently, they will certainly say so. We
I
have
think the
reason to think
commission
that they
should
will.
be
And so
more
I think we should, I would vote to deny this rear addition.
My feeling about them and individual landmarks is that they're going to drill down more than we do, probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's speculative and I hope that's true, but I think, you know, it's for us to weigh in on what's in front of us and what the implications are and what the precedential importance of this.
And I want to go to them being able to say that we have the same respect that's due individual landmarks. As we always say when one comes up, that they're given special consideration and these buildings are crumbling but intact. That the rooftop addition is wildly visible. I walked by today, and when one gets up to the corner of Spring Street, it's a big lump on top of the building, as it appears in the.
In the photos, you can see that it's visible, highly visible. Yeah, it's not minimally visible, it's highly visible. Yeah.
And are we regarding this as it's the same as the village?
It is. This is an 1827 row house. I'm not exactly sure why it's an individual landmark, but I'll take it, you know, but this is pretty standard throughout our neighborhoods. So as far as an addition, it could be more in keeping with the other types of additions that, but it's visible because of the mathematics of it, you know, without having a building next door.
But we, again, that's, you know, that condition was known when the property was purchased and we have pretty consistently.
But they are going to want to build something is all I'm saying. And maybe it could be something that's more in keeping with the district.
Yeah.
What about visibility? But do we want any guidelines for it, or that will accept visibility if it's a reasonable thing to be visible?
Well, I think that's why they're before us. If it was minimally visible, we wouldn't be talking about it. I think they should, I don't know, I guess, I don't mind them building something.
We owe them a rooftop addition that's visible.
Yeah, I think what you just said about, you know, given it's, or maybe perhaps it was in, but what both of you two are saying is that given its maximum visibility from that vantage point, that, you know, it should be more respectful of the architect, of the historic architecture.
And that would, to my mind, include copper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a show-off kind of thing, the copper. It's just,
Well, unless
I
it's
just don't
used
know
in a
how people
traditional
take a
way.
how
building
it's
like this
used, yeah.
and don't treat it respectfully.
It's not being used the way it would be. I mean, I know we were just starting to talk about that, but if it's used in a historic type of way, it's perfectly fine. I mean, there's a lot of additions that are made with copper, but the scale is different. It's not as showy as you were saying. It's also very odd shaped in a way. I appreciate the fact that they're cutting it back, but the whole thing seems not very well articulated as far as two different row houses with a little rooftop extension.
I take what Brian said about a building on West 10th Street opposite the police station. It was trying to get one lowered 2 feet so it wouldn't be visible at all.
Right. Oh, that's right. All right.
Well, that's impossible here.
So do
It's
we,
going to be visible.
It's going to be visible, yeah.
It's impossible until they build that building on the parking lot, which is imminent, I'm sure, unless there's some mystery about that lot, which we'll get into when we read about it. But other than that, it's going to be visible.
well, we always treat things like that as that's what is.
Yes.
Right,
I understand.
And only a building that's under construction.
I just don't think we can deny them a penthouse addition. I don't know. Is that what you're thinking? To deny it altogether?
no, I don't think anybody is suggesting that. I think that what's being,
I think that it should be contextual.
Okay, fair enough. I agree with that.
And of a modest size
Yeah.
and modest visibility.
yeah.
It's very high.
And
compared to-
also, maybe it does reflect two different buildings. That would be a place to express it if it's visible, that it's not one big, long bowling alley, but instead it's two discrete things that are combined. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't look like it's one big thing.
It's meant to be a ballroom.
I don't think so. Very, it's pretty big actually, though. It's like 50 feet, right? 50 feet wide, 50 feet long. All right, so we're saying no, no, and no. Right?
I think so.
I'm sorry, I'm not unusual.
Is it just those four today? We don't have any other members? Oh, no wonder I'm hearing my voice so much.
The only thing I'm unhappy about with what we've said is the horse walk, but I'll be okay.
All right.
Right, so is everyone in agreement?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Okay.
Yeah, the back thing is out. There's some details otherwise, but the back extension is just no,
Yeah.
no, without comment, except that except the reason for it.
Yeah.
And I worked the whereas carefully and for this. Are people satisfied with this application?
With with our resolution of the application, yeah. Yes. Yes, no, meaning yes to no.
Yeah, you know how to write it up.
Yeah, we're with you. What's next?
We should go to 48 Commerce next, right?
Let's go in order now. So-
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll go to that.
We have the designer here in the room, and I think we should go that.
I'm
direction.
sorry, for what was your application?
48 Commerce Street.
Commerce.
I have my notes somewhere that.
Well, this is the one where we talked a lot about the dormer.
Yeah.
I think that's a big key thing, and the party walls or the fire walls, which are being expressed very strongly here. And I was thinking about it, as a Greek revival building, it would have been built just with the cornice. It wouldn't have had like a mansard, which is okay. Then they did maybe a big pitched roof or something in the dormers. But in that case, you wouldn't really see the parapets at all because they would be just level. Do you know what I mean? And then maybe if they built them up on the sides, it'd be fine. But it's not like it was built that way.
But we're dealing with a modification of the upper floor.
Mhm.
than
Correct.
adding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought all that was fine up there, except we all spoke about the proportion of the
Of the dormer.
dormer.
Mhm.
The width and
Yeah,
the height, I think it's both. I mean, I really do think it would help it a lot.
I would say that was our primary comments or suggestions. I guess that's what we're doing, is making suggestions. And I think that the materials of that upper level would be toned down with the material, the lead coated
Copper. Yeah, it's a very nice
A
material.
subdued finish on the mansard. Is that what you're saying?
The mansard? Mansard?
Where are we talking about? The mansard roof?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Brian had made a point about the metal only being on the front facade and not continuing.
No, you can't do that because it's not a true mansard.
Right.
It would look tacky. Sorry to say.
Brian, what's your feeling about that?
Usually there's another building right next to it, so in this case, it's a little different.
You mean return around the sides of it?
Yeah,
I personally, no.
that's
I
just what
would
we're
say
talking about.
It should be masonry, or it has to be sloped. I mean, otherwise
Yeah.
it's a problem. I think
It is sloped. I mean,
no, the side has
Slope this
a
way.
mansard is like the Commerce Street photograph he sent. That's a true mansard. This is already sort of a half mansard. And then if you make it flat there, it's not gonna look good. It's gonna look tacky.
well, we did talk about setting that behind the corner.
Yes, stepping up back.
Definitely want that.
Oh,
set-
yes, I have that right here. So let's talk about it.
That's right, absolutely. That will help a lot because it'll break. It shouldn't be in the same plane. It just should be stepped back behind. It's like an addition. It's added on to, it's not part of the front facade.
If it could be stepped back and
Wider.
wider and brought, I agree with it, and brought down a little bit, just
pitch.
reproportioned, then I think everybody's respective visual problem with it. And I don't even mean people's individual, I just mean the impact of that as it currently presents in a sort of scenery kind of way, as I said earlier. I think if it is stepped back, if the proportions are changed somewhat, it'll look more organic, it will look less like scenery, and I think, this is really an excellent proposal,
And it will be something that could be pointed to as, with the 20s intervention in the 11th Street building, as an intervention that makes sense,
Yeah.
not just rising up the way it does from the.
No, it's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big improvement.
And I think, we
obviously.
should definitely commend, the work that's been done here, to the sensitivity to the neighboring buildings, to the very special quality that this building has on this very special street.
Very special street. I agree. I love this little area.
And, this is a very respectful
And the
application.
work is going apace on the Cherry Lane.
So.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
There were a
Cherry
couple
Lane.
of other things on this. I think we might want to talk about the ironwork on the security gates on the bottom, the ones that,
Right, let me look at that. Yeah, double and self-closing.
no, I'm not talking about the
Was there
gate,
comment
which
on
is
the
true too, on
design
the window security gates.
Oh, the window, yes.
On the base.
I take exception to that. They should have some historic design, not
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not
that's a
historic
simple,
design.
that's a simple.
always looks
Although then
like
if it
another
happens
girl.
that it doesn't go with the rest of the ironwork, I mean, it is a ripple effect.
Yeah,
So I think it would look odd if the basement windows were historically more accurate and then you have this, it's completely different railings and the ironwork on the stair is its own animal.
what do you
way
think
I
the
see it.
solution would be?
I would just leave the basement. That's what I would do. I mean, otherwise you have to redesign the whole thing and make it historic. I don't know about that lamp. I guess that's okay. We don't usually have an individual lamp post. But it is recessed in this sort of corner, so it might need it.
And the applicant said that it was being handled at staff level, that that lamppost was being at staff.
It is?
Since you're here.
Because we don't have those. We don't encourage those either, really. It's
But
kind
that's
of
a
a.
staff, that's not part of this application, I don't think.
There's a few
Well, they can
places
still
that
be wrong.
Have the old.
Right, and it actually says add gas lantern on post.
Yeah, there
So
you go.
that's,
May I talk? Sure.
I don't know. Let's ask the boss. He's the boss.
Can we
Do
get
I have
comments?
any traction on my plea for a stoop?
Well, that's why
Tell you
it's so
what,
back so far.
this was done to make two nice entrances when it was
Yeah.
when it was divided, and it's no longer divided. So the reason, so that the lower level wouldn't have to creep in under the stoop as is common now.
Yeah.
But that reasoning having been removed, it seems like the reason for not having a stoop has been removed.
Well, we could say that. I mean, that's a good point. This has just been its own little landmark in that corner with the little spiral stair, which we don't like either because they're.
I'm gonna argue the opposite here, and to me, the unique quality of Commerce Street and the turn that it takes there and the way that this staircase interacts with that very special corner is a defining characteristic of this particular house.
Yeah, it is.
And it is a very theatrical corner.
It is theatrical. I was
Not
thinking the
only
same thing.
because it has a theater, but when you walk down this street, particularly at night, it is a truly theatrical environment.
Yeah.
You know, the way the light plays on the corner, the way that restaurant is, the Cherry Lane Theater. When you think about the whole thing, I think that the, unusual staircase configuration, has a role to play.
Okay, I won't quit over it.
So that's just, that's what I think. I think we don't have to be utterly homogeneous.
No.
And I think that this has been there for a while, and we talk about layers of interventions over time, and I think here's this building is an interesting example where there was this I think we can all agree, really ugly fourth floor addition. And that's being improved. And there is this kind of arguably charming stair addition, and I'd like to see it stay.
All right, if you want to see it stay, I'll let it stay.
I
No,
agree. I agree with you. I agree with
Sharing
you.
It was
my point of view.
originally was a stoop.
It was a stoop
This
originally.
is as close as we can get.
Absolutely, there was a stoop, but this is more, I don't know why I keep thinking of like the Stork Club uptown. This is like the 50s where that was the look of those row houses when you went out at night. They had those little metal stairs going up, right? Little lights.
And,
Not that I've been to them, but I watch movies.
and we'll have the usual bit. It was very naughty not to talk about the excavation, but since it came out, I'll put the usual thing about it.
Yeah.
in a
We
few-
didn't talk about the 17 feet excavation at that Sullivan Street.
Oh, right.
So we could do that at the end. I don't know, I don't know if you caught that.
So you'll put the standard language in. Now, the underpin,
Yeah.
there is no underpinning because it sounds like the excavation doesn't extend to the property line. But,
And it's only 12 inches.
and it's only 12 inches, but still, we need to make,
But we always say it.
we need
with
to
or
note it.
without,
Yeah.
It's doubly so. Ooh, that's also, we left that out. Let me just go back in case my notes are faulty. The excavation of,
Sullivan.
Sullivan, yeah.
Yeah, Anita and I were
It was like 17'6" or something.
17.9 at one
Yeah.
point, yeah.
I don't understand why people come here not knowing what the excavation is going to be. If it
Well,
goes to the property line and there's something there, it's got to be underpinned. It's like a Dios mio underpinning.
well, these guys all have engineers and stuff. I mean, I think at this stage, it's been pretty carefully engineered by the same guys over and over again.
The city is just death on it, so that's our advantage. Shall we do Christopher Street now?
Well, so you're going to delineate the rest of the front facade, side facade.
Talk to the mic. I can't hear you.
So you're going to be delineating in your notes that we're approving the front facade, otherwise below the corners, the side facade changes and the rear facade. And then we haven't talked about the roof. Mechanical equipment, bulkhead, we had comments from the public.
And the public concern.
In my visit today, I didn't find it objectionable. It's visible in the bulkhead sense. I understood her point that if it were turned around, it would be less visible.
Yeah, she saw the width of that as opposed to sort of the side view.
Right, because it goes from north to south.
It doesn't, honestly, it doesn't bother me either, but I'm not looking out from my bedroom.
Right, I mean, I think we certainly have to note in the
With half my window.
resolution that, there was testimony from a neighbor.
About both those things, the
About-
bulk and the.
Yeah, so there's the little
We
angle.
don't
corner.
generally say what it was.
What
There
was
were
that?
objections to the application, is what we generally say.
Is that her bedroom?
Yes.
Right here, those lot lines on the roof? Borrowed time anyway, It's definitely ugly, I would say.
I would just want to make the comment that the suggestion that was made in the public testimony is that if there would be a way to place the mechanical equipment a little further from the windows.
Yes,
Because,
that's very
I mean,
different.
there's going to be noise factor,
Noise especially.
things like that.
Yeah, I think that's important.
And it's considerate, and she's not going anywhere. They're not building up, they're not closing up her window.
Right, and
That's right. That's
that's
maintaining.
just you know, a
Neighborly.
bad situation waiting to erupt if there's any way to move those, that can be avoided if there's any way to move those mechanicals.
You want to be a good neighbor no matter what, if you can.
Does that
I
result-
do, I didn't mind because it's not visible. It's kind of cute and eccentric too.
That's about the extent of that.
Have we covered this one fully?
Yes.
I think so.
Don't see anything else in my notes.
Yeah.
We're good to go. So we're going to approve it with a few comments, I guess is what
Right.
it's,
Yeah.
The big thing is the changes on top.
the roof,
The modifications
yeah.
with the changes.
the dormer mansardy roof. Thank you, thanks for staying. What's next, 11th Street?
Mhm.
Okay, if we want to keep going backwards.
Yeah, might as well.
257, I can't remember it at all. That's not a good sign. I better pull up the drawings.
Oh, it's a corner building and a blank wall right now, and they're adding windows. So that's a big.
Oh, this is the
Yeah,
one with
yeah.
those with the blind or blank windows. And I think, you know, it was interesting that in the discussion with the architect, that there is this possibility of solving their problem in this more creative, slightly unorthodox, but visually much more friendly way. And I think we should talk about that.
Well, I suggested making a fake window next to it. And that's one way, but
And she had another thought about putting a window, an operable window within.
on one half, and that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think that
Well-
would look good.
So, all right, so what usually comes up on any historic building is any change to historic fabric. And changing these blank windows is a major
Right.
reconstruction. And we're not even putting it back the way it was. So I personally don't have any objection to the south windows being larger than the row of, or the column of north windows. The north and south side they don't have to match. And I think they should fit within the existing recesses of the blank windows.
My thought was that proper proportion windows go in the back where they fit, and no windows go in the front.
I think the front ones are too complicated,
Okay.
honestly,
So-
and they're disturbing the original fabric.
Yeah, so you're saying, Chevelle, that the suggestion at the front corner would be just leave them blank as they are?
Yeah, so that the blank there, and that the ones in the back fill the blank area.
Yeah, but I think that would be the most satisfactory solution, but the second most satisfactory would be the narrow front ones would be in the blank recess and be matched with blank windows or fake windows
Mhm.
so that
They look the same.
only half of it is transparent.
And the front is clearly just another exposure in the same room. It's not that we're plunging anything into darkness.
Right.
Yes, true.
The tiny ones just are no-go, however inventive they might be.
Well, they really look like little tiny bathrooms or kitchen windows.
Yeah, so.
And in
And
a
if you look
apartment.
at, I guess they're tenement buildings, when
Yeah.
bathrooms are put in, they squeeze them into half of a window and then fill in the bottom so it's high. And they just look dingy.
Well, so how about if we if we say that the original, you know, openings and lintels and sills of the be respected. And that, you know, the problem be solved in another way. I mean, there are other ways.
I think they should be left blank, but the front ones just,
That any windows visually fill the space.
well, that's
Yeah,
one option, but other than that, it could also be one of the rows is the historic recessed blank. And the other one has windows that fill the space.
I favor that because it doesn't violate the Disneyland principle, and it doesn't, and it reflects what is, which is that there were blank windows.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I would prefer.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sounds good.
that's good.
And I think that was, everything else was fine.
And everything else, I think, passed the muster, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine.
There was a lot of discussion, but I didn't hear any objection in the end. Oh, yes, the is it overly black at the entrance? Or was that resolved in your mind?
It's just
No, it wasn't resolved, but the neighbors' front door, well, the neighbor's trim is a light gray on the windows and a dark blue or Prussian blue on the door. And that's much more pleasing. So if they could maybe go with a deep gray instead of a black. And I think when you carry that over to the bulkhead on the roof.
Right, I was going to say that I think part of what we're feeling about the use of black is that it's unrelenting and that some variations like what you're discussing.
Yeah, dark. I don't even think anyone should really use black because it sucks up all the light and it's not very,
You know, it's not so much a matter of the black door per se, it's just the black door aggregated with the black metal with the, you know.
Also, you have the whole surround.
Right.
There's a lot of wood around these entries, historically at least. So
But why don't we deny the black door and instead in some historic color?
it is though. I don't know that
But
it's
there are
not.
black doors everywhere in the
There are black
district.
door, yeah. I don't know that.
Not everywhere, but I mean, they do exist. Right?
People love them, all shiny and totally impossible to take care of.
Well, in the context of the row, Brian was explaining,
I think we
there's
should just
immediate
say-
neighbors that have colored doors.
I think we should just say we would prefer instead of a pure black or however you want to say it, we'd like to, a shade lighter. That's all.
Yeah.
Or a color.
Or a color, but that's not the direction they're going.
Right.
Yeah, so if it's not the black, you get, I love wrought iron is a color that I like. I use that all the time. It's black, but it's not.
I'm not going to specify a color.
Right.
I love all those colors.
Um,
So that was mainly it.
Okay.
the roof was okay. There was a lot of discussion. But they've done the best they can. And so
Yeah.
how they make it disappear, I can't imagine, but
Oh, this is with the bulkhead. That was
The
fun.
roof,
Yeah.
the roof work was okay, except the cladding on the bulkhead was so black, I didn't like it.
that either.
No.
That should not, because also it will be much more obvious. Because right now we have mostly those silvery ones, and again, they reflect light, so they're not so. So can you add that in, Chenault, that
the what?
that the bulkhead should be also of a lighter color? They picked a very dark, almost wood brown color.
The what, a lighter color?
The stair bulkhead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And it'll behoove them because it won't be so obvious. The dark color will make it really pop. What else?
Okay, last but not least was that legalization of the shutters, dormer, and entrance transom on, an entrance transom on Christopher Street, 18 to 20 Christopher Street.
Mhm.
Oh, that looks so weird.
It's the usual thing of I believe that from the picture that the windows pivot.
They're casements. That's what he says, casement windows
Mhm.
with all kinds of other explanations, but they're basically,
The way it looks in the picture, it's a casement window that pivot, a casement looking window.
oh, you take it to one of those,
But it looked like, the way the ones you hate.
oh, I do? I don't know which ones those are.
As you say, when it's open, it looks weird.
Oh, yeah. But the other adjacent building has them too, I noticed. So, I guess two is a family right there.
But I do think it's a problem that Landmarks approved these windows, and that center window, what was ordered was a different window than what was approved.
And they
At first, he
didn't-
kind of was a
they
little bit
didn't
vague
think
about
of-
it, and it was like, oh,
I
these are
couldn't understand
$7,000 windows,
what
and it
he
was sort of
said,
like,
yeah.
oh, they made a mistake or something. But then, when I asked for a more detailed explanation of what had happened, well, they didn't order what had been approved. I don't know, that's a problem.
Yeah, and
It's strange to know why something so non-historic was. The double hung windows were there and looked.
yes, I was just gonna say that their pictures showed double hung windows
Yeah.
in those dormers.
That's what they should be. Yeah, definitely.
But be that as it may, that they did get a permit for these quote unquote double casement windows.
Yeah.
So whether that would have been our preference or not is that
We
ship.
could recommend that if we recommend denial of these windows, they have to be replaced. And
I don't
if they're
think we
replaced,
should.
they could be
I think
replaced. We could ask that they be replaced with double
I'd
hung.
rather have them redo the roof, the pitch. That is unbelievable. They have right next to them. They have an exact example of how the roof configuration is, and then they just went straight.
Do we know that this is, do we remember, everybody, that this is part of the complex of buildings behind it, one of which crumbled?
Yeah,
Yes, all owned by Celeste Martin.
Like Gay Street? I thought it was Gay
Yeah.
Street.
Yes, it is.
It's the ones on Gay Street and these two that are all part of that woman's.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Well, all right, so
Okay, what did we decide?
well, let's take them one at a time. The dormer windows, I think they've done the best they can to make them look like the original dormer windows. And at this point, I don't think it harms anybody to leave them. The shutters, the LPC seemed to indicate that there should have been more precise sizing so that they are the exact same to fit over the windows that they are next to. They looked consistently appropriate for the window size without taking a tape measure out to check it out. And then finally, the entrance and transom was simply a matter of not going through the shop drawing process, but everything they showed me, it looked like that was a pretty good replication of the original.
Yeah, good enough.
So I don't think that we want to insist on anything be redone.
I'm with Brian on this.
Okay, so it's okay.
It's okay.
You,
Even if you,
Susan's still thinking about it.
Well, I'm okay with it, but I am not okay. I mean, I don't think,
they were careless,
in a
but not
way, it's not
intentional.
really. If we're talking about the look of it, then, close enough, right? But the problem here is that, I mean, I think landmarks is the one who should
Yeah.
have the issue
That's right.
with the lack of their procedures being appropriately followed. I don't think it's for us to, be punitive about breaking landmarks rules. It's up to landmarks to to object to their rules being broken and to their trust being violated, or whatever you want to call it. I think that's actually a commission issue. I think in terms of a committee issue, it looks substantially the way it should look.
Yes, I would.
It's interesting that they sent it to us.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand why
Well, it could have been vastly bigger things. They use their discretion not to send them to us.
I know, it doesn't make sense.
I feel pretty strongly that we need to say something in our notes that of perhaps greater consequence is the reshaping of the dormer roof, which supposedly LPC gave them a pass, but we don't think that that should have been allowed to be modified like that. It's not
Yeah, I
the
think
same
that's a great
dormer.
point. Yeah. Yeah.
And for that matter, the windows.
Well, the windows are, it's a separate issue.
No, I
They
mean,
didn't bring the dormer
you're saying if
room.
it had come to us, we would have said it's got to be this way, the dormer shape. We would have also said to keep the original windows, right?
That's right. That's right. We would have.
Except
Double-
they were approved by landmarks, and they were also approved, they also match the adjacent building. That's my only point is, I don't love them. I don't think they're great, but they do match the adjacent building. So that helps a little bit.
Right. If they had come to us before construction,
Yeah.
I think we would have recommended that they be double hung windows, to be a historic type of window.
You are right.
To replace what was a double hung window. But to change the roof line, that's really seems like a big violation that is not brought to us. I don't understand why.
We should probably look at the history of this application.
That would look
I
good.
don't remember it's coming.
We should look into our records on this one, I think.
I don't recall seeing it, but that doesn't mean we haven't.
Right.
I'm doing a quick search for documents for Christopher Street.
Oh, by the way, the other thing I didn't like was this, well, then we added it on to the outside of the window. That's not a good look. It doesn't wear well over time. It looks really cheesy. Did you remember that, Chenault?
I'm sorry, I was looking at the
They have the muttons are attached on the outside of the glass. It's not the through and through that we usually have on historic buildings, that they,
it's the applique kind of thing.
whatever. It didn't sound very good to me.
Cheap motels.
Yeah, not good, not good.
Yeah, he kept mentioning this one piece of glass with.
It wasn't the simulated divided lights that we usually get from like Marvin or one of those companies. And it's a lot cheaper when you don't get them. So that may or may not have been a consideration.
I don't think we've come to a resolution, what to say. We know about objecting to the design.
Well, I don't know if we're going to insist that they were, replace the windows. I guess we could because they won't do it anyway. So maybe we should just be pure.
What's the name? I'm blanked. What's the name of the structure? Is it a dormer?
It's a dormer. A double wide. It's a wide dormer.
Do we want them to replace the windows or not? We keep sort of.
Well, Brian's point is, if they had come to us before, we would not have approved this. We would have wanted double hung. So I think we should say we wanted double hung that matched the original, from the original photographs.
But here's the thing, I'm very confused. I'm on the CB2 website doing a search for 18 to 20 Christopher Street, because if we're being asked to look at this now, we must have been asked to look at this.
That was my question, and
when this originally
I didn't find any
went to LPC. So why is
No, they have a violation. Now they're trying to clear it up with LPC.
And the violation is because they didn't abide by what was approved at LPC. So was that all done at staff approval and now they want us to look at it? I don't understand. Shouldn't it have come to us then? If it's coming to us now, shouldn't it have come to us?
Unless the violation
Years
is
ago.
that they didn't file a permit.
And I'm puzzled about the structure not coming to us. The windows they do. Why they would change the kind, I don't know. I can ask them.
I think you should, because it's very confusing. And it's a little hard to understand what we should really do here, given that this does not appear to be something that we wrote a previous resolution on.
I think what they're the way the thing's worded, it must be that staff approved it because they sent the new one that I read saying that it was not done in accordance with the LPC resolution. But why we get in on that when we didn't do it to begin with is mysterious.
Exactly.
And I think it gives us the latitude to say what we want.
I think we should.
That's what, exactly. That's why I think it's important for us to know what the history of this actually is so that we know how to appropriately respond.
Well, I think I don't have a problem responding. He told us. We asked for what we would have asked for if it had come to us originally. That's very simple.
Yeah.
It would have been double hung windows. I don't like the casements. I think they're not right.
Yeah.
So that's that. And we would have asked for a correct sloped.
Why don't I make the first whereas the policy of the committee is to treat violations as though their original.
Exactly. Perfect.
And that's exactly what we always do.
Perfect. It's
And then it'll
consistent.
flow from there.
And the rest of it is kind of implicit.
Yeah, and then they can do what they do. But it's not that, so we're not approving it.
Not the windows.
No. And that disclaimer at the end will give us license to say whatever we please, which is what we would have done if it had come to us.
Well, it's the best thing to do because also it's more fair. Yeah, actually. Yep.
And it gives us license. I'm going to sleep before I write anything.
It feels like it's midnight.
I know, we only had like
actually,
we had 3 little projects.
I think we clarified quite well the Sullivan Street.
Yeah. Well, do you remember the last one we had was like a big light bulb? It was designed, we had a previous design for this project from a different architect. Do you remember it, Chanel?
The what?
It was designed like what is that, Ken the bulletproof glass, it's like translucent, it's not transparent. And they built the whole thing covered in that. And so at night, it was like a light bulb in the back.
No, I blanked that, whatever it was.
I think I was not here for that.
I read,
telling
it
you
was
that.
very dramatic, and she says, yes, but she wanted it to look different than the historic. She accomplished it. All right, we're done.
All right, we're gonna end the meeting.
Maybe the applicant were tired of Palm Springs where the glass is good.
Oh, thank you for all your work, Chanel.
Thank you all for the start over next time with the, I think that we've got the relatively simple ones there. Oh, no, we don't. We start with a, noted that it's 6 o'clock on
Monday.
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 It's at
Because
6.
of the room availability. It is at the Little Red Schoolhouse.
It's 6 on Monday?
Oh, well,
6
that's
o'clock,
good.
yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, I haven't gotten that notice yet, but I'll put it in the calendar.
Okay,
It has to do with setting up the room and its availability.
well, we are just one flexible bunch.
That's right.
Wait,
All
no,
right.
I'm sorry.
Well,
We
Whatever
ain't
I
to
wrote.
please.
It's 7. He can't get in until 6:30, so it's 7 o'clock.
7.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right,
That
thank
might-
you.
Just a second, let me look at the email I sent today. Well, I sent an email this afternoon about this meeting, and it starts out with saying what time they are.
Okay, we'll check it.
So it's
All right.
it's the correct time.
Good night.
Keeping us on our toes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's 5, it's 6.
Bye-bye.